Greetings, everybody. It's that time again. It's the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, and we return to Estoril in Portugal for the first time in Grand Prix racing since 1996. And oh, it's wonderful to be back here in sunny Portugal. Jake Sanson here, guiding you through the Minecraft of motorsport. This is the series where our regular Downforce racing staff will pick a team, as they did at the start of the season, that has never won a Grand Prix race. No manufacturer teams allowed. They can choose two ex-F1 drivers that never won a race either, an engine supplier that's no longer active in Formula 1, and any tyre company of their choice. They get a budget to play with, and they have to work on whether their engine strength or their reliability is going to be improved in between each and every race. So far, we've had 4 races at South Africa, on the Kyalami circuit, on the streets of Marrakesh in Morocco, and then over in the Antipodean part of the world at Bathurst in Australia and at Taupo in New Zealand. And we've had 4 different teams and 4 different drivers taking the race victories, and that has given us a fantastic battle in the championship. Here are the drivers' standings. Marc Genet, the winner last time out at Taupo, has taken the lead of the drivers' championship. Jean-Eric Verne, who won at Bathurst, is just 4 points back. Kamui Kobayashi and Andre Lotterer are the other 2 race winners. They won at Marrakesh and Kyalami, respectively. Kobayashi getting the job done in South Africa and Lotterer in Marrakesh. Lucas de Grassi and Paul de Resta have scored well, as has Sebastian Bourdais and Nick Heidfeld, with Sebastian Buemi and Alex Rossi in the top 10. Last time at Taupo, we saw a few new point scorers as well, which is good to see. There is Nico Hulkenberg finally getting himself up the order. Bruno Senna is 12th in the standings, alongside Anthony Davidson. Timo Glock and Susie Wolf have scored reasonably well. Brendan Hartley finally got into the points for the first time last time out, as did Stoffel van Dorn. Marcus Ericsson has scored some points as well. James Courtney, who filled in for Stefano Modena and is likely to for the remainder of the season, got some points last time out at Taupo. And Taki Inui and Luciano Berti have been into the points as well. Taki Inui on 2 occasions, would you believe? Here are the team standings. BAR have got the inaugural lead, with Minardi now catching them right up in second place. Arrows are there in third, with AGS in 4th position. 5th position currently is the Onyx Isuzu, and then Mana, Lola and Super Aguri are very closely knit behind. Simtech have got some more points on the board. BMS Italia have leapt up to 10th after James Courtney grabbed 8th last time out, with 40 and Midland now putting their cars on the board. The only team that has yet to score points so far this season is the very unlucky Prost team. 4 races and 4 non-point scores, but they are the teams and drivers, and they will go through in a slideshow in front of your screens, and you can see who the team managers are as well. We're going to go down into the pit lane and have a chat with some of our team managers who are raring to go for some exciting action here at this fantastic... Oh, hello! I love wandering into the green room. The green room is a fabulous place where all of the team managers get to hang out, and I love butting in at the wrong moment when they're talking about something. Oh, goodness knows what. Sam Hall, team manager of Mana, in full flow there. How was your weekend? Have you been itching to get going again?
Yes, I've been thoroughly itching to get going again. I mean, we had a great result with Brendan, I believe it was, at the last race. So yeah, if we can get something similar again, then we'll be back in the championship fight.
Sounds good to me. Hopefully it's going to be another podium for the Mana team. Over to Tom Cairns. Now, you guys have been working very hard at Prost over the last race to try and get some of that bad luck jinx well and truly done and dusted. Pedro de la Rosa's back up in the top 10. Is this where we're going to get points?
I'd like to think so, yeah, because just spent a little bit more on the reliability and the brake horsepower. And on a track like Estoril, we expect to see more of a taken, to be honest, than what we saw in Taupo. So, yeah, like you say, the aim is to finally get some points in the bag, and hopefully we'll be back in the mix, because at the moment with the championship as it is, there's no runaway leader or anyone like that. So if we can maybe get a good haul of points, then yeah, it'd make my day, really.
Good stuff. Hopefully this is finally where the jinx ends. Good luck to you, my friend. Topher Smith over at Super Aguri. Hello. Good to see that the cars are ready to go again. And I have to say, the speed has finally started to produce some results now for Super Aguri. You're climbing up the table.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we got our first podium last time out in Taupo. Very strong drive there from Heifeld. A little bit disappointed to miss out on the win. But I think given the start of the season that we have had, after we've had quite a number of retirements, I think a second place, I'll happily take that. Some good points for the team. There's some good points for Nick. Unfortunately for this race today, he is a bit further down the grid in 16th, but Timo is up there, 5th on the grid, so he's looking for a podium today. So, yeah, I'm not going to go making any predictions. We all know how rather unpredictable his series can be, so we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Sounds good to me. Hopefully it is in your favour this time. Oh, I sounded very Jennifer Lawrence there. Good luck to you. Ryan Ferris of Team Onyx. Now, Sebastian Bourdais has been looking pretty quick so far this season, as has Bruno Senna. A podium has been in the offing for the team as well. So how do you think things will fare here at Estoril?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Obviously, we've all had our new updates done to the car. The car still seems to be performing roughly in the same area as it has been, but in the position we're in at the moment, it's been, a little bit known that people in those positions can be challenging for podiums, so we're hopeful for that.
Sounds good to me, Ryan. Good luck for the race today. And finally, to Alex Goldschmidt of the Minardi squad. Now, last time out, Alex, Marc Genet got the victory and became the 4th different driver. And, of course, you are manager of the 4th different team to take a race win in this championship. And that means, of course, that Marc Genet is leading the championship. The team standings, Minardi have caught right up. Could well be the time for you to take the lead this time. What do you think?
Your guess is as good as mine, Jake. I mean, yeah, we've been working on both the reliability and the power on the Lamborghini engines, and that's what's helped us. But good to see that Mark's finally got a top 10 in qualifying this time around here in Estoril. So yeah, just really looking forward to just see how things transpire. Good to see Anthony's a little bit higher up the top 20. A bit misfortunate for him last time out, but hopefully we've got better luck for him this time after what happened last time out. So at Taupo, and just seeing how the guys are going to get on, and if Mark keeps the lead at the championship, we'll be happy. But we'll just see how it pans out, because there's some very quick pedalers out there, Jake.
There certainly is. Good luck to you and to everybody on the pit wall. It's time to go racing. Here at Estoril, it is the 5th round of the title race, and we are very excited about how it's going to progress. Let's talk you around the circuit. For those of you who have not seen this Estoril circuit for a while, well, we're going to give you Sebastian Bourdais riding around the circuit as he gets himself up to speed here on this gorgeous Estoril circuit. Hasn't been used for Grand Prix racing since 1996, and this is a brilliant comeback. The Onyx Isuzu powered into the first corner. It's a very quick first corner as you go through the right-hander. Then it's immediately followed by another one. We should see some great battles in the phases of the race. It's a very fast-flowing circuit, this one. Now you brake heavily into turn 3. Keep it tight into the curb on the apex, but then tuck it out for the exit. And then you come straight into the next hairpin through turn 4. Tuck into the left-hander. Get on the curb. Get back on the power. Now this is going to be a very rapid part of the circuit. You're flat on the throttle through this right kink. A little bit over to the right, then you come down into the braking zone, hit the 100-meter board, and that's when you start to brake. Sebastian Bourdais coaxing it through to this left-hander, hairpin turn 6. Then you come up over a tight crest. You're still going very, very fast at this particular point, but you hit a heavy braking zone at the 100-meter board, and the circuit starts to dip just a little bit through this tight hairpin. This is where Gerhard Berger came to a spluttering halt in the 94 edition, through to the right-hander, and this is where Schumacher made mincemeat of Damon Hill in the hairpin in the 1995 Grand Prix. Then you come up a massive climb. It's a very tricky corner to get right that, and then you come straight back into the quick right flick, the final couple of corners into the left. It's a tight left-hander, and then through the Curva Ayrton Senna. Used to be known as the Parabolica, similar to that of Monza. They renamed it after the Brazilian's tragic passing, and now you're coming down the straight. This is the scene of where Ayrton Senna grabbed his first Grand Prix victory back in 1985. It's a wonderful venue, so let's talk you through the grid. The starting grid here at the Circuito Estoril. It's a very tough one for BAR. They've got both their cars on the front row of the grid. Jean-Eric Verne and Sebastian Buemi claiming the front row. Arrows get the second row. Kamui Kobayashi and Nico Hulkenberg. Timo Glock is 5th for Super Aguri. Then Paul Di Resta in the Lola is in 6th. Alexander Rossi 7th and Lucas Di Grassi in 8th. Rounding out the top 10, it's Marc Genet and Pedro de la Rosa, an all-Spanish 5th row. Sebastian Bourdais and Brendan Hartley. Then Andre Lotterer and Bruno Senna. Stoffel Van Dorn lines up 15th on the grid for Simtek. Nick Heidfeld 16th on the grid for Super Aguri. Then Enrique Bernaldi and Anthony Davidson, with Marcus Ericsson struggling in 19th and James Courtney on the top 20 position. Gabriele Tarquini lines up beside Amayago Suari, and then it's the same back four as in Taupo. Susie Wolf and Luciano Berti, and the 240s of Taki Inui and Jean-Denis Delatraz. Hang on to your hats, everybody. Time to go racing in Estoril. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go racing at Estoril. Jean-Eric Verne and Sebastian Buemi in all BAR front row. Kobayashi and Hulkenberg on the second row for Arrows. It's the Portuguese Grand Prix at Estoril. 71 laps of the circuit. Time to go racing. Are you ready? The lights are on. They're going to go out. Let's race at Estoril. Cracking start from Verne, but it looks as though Hulkenberg's got a flyer. The Arrows is going to launch his way forward. Draws alongside Kobayashi. Gets alongside Buemi as well. And there is a good run to this first corner. Can he commit to the move? Yes, in a second place. He split the BARs. So Hulkenberg has gone straight up in a second. Cracking start from the German as he gets through into P2. So Verne is your leader from Hulkenberg. Buemi, Kobayashi, and a good start from the Lola. Paul de Resta in P5 in the early stages as well. Oh, and that's Andre Lotterer. Lotterer goes wide, and he's very lucky there to keep going. He almost sideswiped the Midland as he ran deep there in turn 3. So he was lucky to get away without too much drama. And the field is now trying to knit its way through turn 5. This is the first race since their big performance updates. They upgrade every 2 races, and the teams know exactly what to expect of this circuit. It's a tough one. It's big, fast, punishing. Lotterer going to make his move up the inside of 1 car, maybe 2 cars. I think he made the move on Ericsson in the Simtech as well. So Verne is your leader. Hulkenberg, Buemi, Kobayashi and de Resta. That is your early door start. An absolutely terrific getaway, though, from the race leader, Jean-Eric Verne, from pole position. He had no problems at all making that start. So Verne, Hulkenberg, Buemi, Kobayashi, de Resta. Then it's Timo Glock in front of Alex Rossi, Lucas de Grassi, Marc Genet and Sebastian Bourdais in the Onyx. 11th is Brendan Hartley in front of De La Rosa in the Prost. Then it's Senna, Van Dorn, Lotterer, Bernoldi, Ericsson, Heidfeld, Tarquini and Courtney. And then it is Susie Wolf in front of Anthony Davidson and Jaime Alguersuari from Luciano Berti, Taki Inui and Jean-Denis Delatraz. Here comes de Grassi. De Grassi's going to make his bid down the main straight as he gets through on the AGS. There's going to be a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of overtaking. In fact, in front of us, we've got a Super Aguri trying to get through on de Resta, and it's not worked for de Grassi. He's not been able to get past Rossi. So an immediate fantastic start to this race. And this is what BAR did last time at New Zealand. They got into a lead and started to check out. It was Buemi instead of Jean-Eric Verne. But even though they started to pull away, they were not able to get the victory at Taupo. They did, however, do so at Bathurst. So that's where things are going to be a bit more interesting for the team. BAR, Arrows, Lola, Super Aguri, AGS, Manor, Onyx and Minardi in the top 10 at the moment. 4 different race winners from the top 4 races as well. We've had wins for Kamui Kobayashi of Arrows at Kyalami. At Marrakesh, it was Andre Lotterer in the AGS. At Bathurst, it was Jean-Eric Verne's BAR. And last time out, it was Marc Genet in the Minardi at Taupo in New Zealand. Here we are in the European end of the season at Estoril in Portugal. And the next race weekend, of course, is going to be at Brno in the Czech Republic. There's Taki Inui, missing his braking point for the 5th race in a row. But it's great to see him out there. He's doing an absolutely brilliant job. And the Japanese star is back in a Grand Prix car. And it's the 40. He absolutely adores his racing. And he hasn't done it for a while. So it's great to see him back where he belongs, in a racing car, having a barrel full of laughs. And he's pulling away from his teammate Jean-Denis Delatraz, the Swiss ace. And that is Timo Glock making his bid again to go for Paul de Resta and again bailing out of it. Meanwhile, Buemi is giving Hulkenberg some pressure here. So Sebastian Buemi trying to make the move on Nico Hulkenberg in the Arrows, and he's right underneath him. The BAR does seem to be the strongest one-lap package. They do very well in qualifying. However, it doesn't always go that way in the races. But we knew coming into this season that the BAR and the Arrows teams were going to have a very strong package underneath them. There is Jean-Eric Verne, race winner at Bathurst, and is leading the way here, but he threw it away, if you remember last time out. Here comes Buemi on the inside of Hulkenberg, and it's BAR 1-2 once again. The Arrows dropping back in. Hulkenberg getting a little bit sideways as he came through the hairpin, and now his teammate Kamui Kobayashi might have a chance to get through. I wonder if there are any team orders at Arrows. Emma Butterworth, team principal. In her spare time, when she's not managing racing teams, she makes Disney princess crowns. It's a busy house in the Butterworth household. Meanwhile, Tom Butterworth, who is actually Emma's husband, who runs the BAR team, is obviously going to be wanting to keep things together up at the front. Enrique Bernoldi out in the lead at the moment of his particular battle. That is Marcus Ericsson behind him. So Bernoldi is splitting the 2 Simtex. They had a great run last time out, actually, at Taupo. After a miserable start to the season, Stoffel Van Dorn was one of the stars of the race weekend at Taupo. In fact, I'd say the star of the weekend. And if it hadn't been for the electrical issue before his final pit stop, he probably would have won the race. But Buemi in second place, tucked in behind Verne, 3 seconds back already. As Sebastian Bourdais pushes on in the Onyx. Very good team this, and the Isuzu power unit has definitely been better than people gave it credit for pre-season. So it's good to see him up there doing a good job. And he has had a couple of opportunities for a podium slip through his fingers so far this year. Most notably at Marrakesh, he was in 3rd position and then ended up having a problem on the final lap, and that dropped him to 8th place at the finish. Vern is in the lead. He runs perfectly well here in the BAR, 3 seconds ahead of Buemi, then Hulkenberg, Kobayashi and De Resta is your top 5. Now, we need to keep an eye on the Lola package. Somehow, their cars have just been bulletproofed over the course of the first 4 races. They've only had 1 retirement up amongst all of their cars so far this year. They were in the hunt for victory last time out at Taupo, and they've only had 1 car fail to finish. That was De Resta after an electrical issue at Bathurst. But they've had 7 finishes in 8 starts from the first 4 races. And they've had a massive power upgrade for this weekend, which is why De Resta is right up there in 5th from the start. Normally, he gets himself into that sort of position, but has not been able to maximise it in terms of a race win. But this time, he's in 5th on the car's merit, so there's a good chance. Kobayashi making the bid on Hulkenberg. And I think Kobayashi's going to get there, no problem at all. So he gets past his teammate Hulkenberg. Now, is there a problem? Because that looked fairly straightforward for Kobayashi. Either that or Hulkenberg, I think he just made a mistake coming out of the final couple of corners, and that is what gave Kobayashi the run. So now the Japanese driver gets past his teammate and is into 3rd. So Vern is your leader, Buemi 2nd, Kobayashi, Hulkenberg and De Resta in the top 5. And then it is Glock, De Grassi, Rossi, Bourdais and Genet. And then we have Hartley, De La Rosa, Senna, Lotterer and Bernaldi. Outside the top 15, Van Dorn and Ericsson are together now. Heidfeld and Courtney. Wolf is there in 20th place. That's Susie Wolf in the 2nd Lola. And then it's Davidson, Tarquini, Alguersuari, Bertie and Inui. And then at the back, it is Delatraz. We're on lap 5. No retirements yet. But we do know that in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, there are retirements aplenty. The only slightly lacking race in terms of retirements was Bathurst. We only had 6 cars drop out of the race in the end of the 26 that started. But of course, there have been plenty of retirements in the other 3 races. We only had 12 cars reach the finish last time out, and of course at Marrakesh as well. So this is a brutal series. Oh, Taki, careful, matey boy. Taki Inui pushing very hard into the hairpin there. And he was lucky to get away with that one. So Taki Inui going well in the 40. He's already scored points twice this year. Admittedly 10th on both occasions, but a point is a point. And 2 of them is definitely better than 1. And they are currently 11th in the constructor standings at the moment. 11th in the team standings. So Vern, Buemi, Kobayashi, Hulkenberg and De Resta. There's Lotterer and he's about to lose ground. Has Lotterer got a problem? He's slowing. He's definitely... Yes, he's got a problem. Electrical issue for Andre Lotterer. Marrakesh does seem a rather long time away now. And that victory doesn't look like it's going to be repeated for Lotterer. He's got a long way to go to get that car back to the pits. Now, if they can get back to the pit lane, of course... then they can reset the car. They can switch off the engine and switch it back on again, and that usually resets the electrics, but he's going to lose a heck of a lot of time before he even gets back to the pits. He's got to do a whole lap, and I think Andre Lotterer is about to pull out of this race. That is a real shame, because Lotterer is a race winner so far this year. He was 4th in the standings coming into this weekend, but I have a feeling that a non-score is definitely going to hurt him. We're going to see if he can get there, but at the moment, he is just ticking over. There's De Grassi in the manor. He's finally managed to get past Rossi. And into 7th place goes the Brazilian. So a good start for the manor team. They've had a podium so far this year, courtesy of De Grassi on 2 occasions. And they almost got one, courtesy of Brendan Hartley last time out on his home soil. As the Super Aguri is trying to make the bid there on De Resta. That's Glock trying to come through into 5th position. And he's not been able to get there on this occasion. Look how quickly Kobayashi has pulled away from Hulkenberg. And there goes Ericsson. Ericsson's making the bid on Van Dorn. So Ericsson gets past his teammate Van Dorn, the 2 Simtex. It's a real shame for them this weekend. They haven't quite found the pace yet. And Lotterer has incredibly made it back to the pits. So Lotterer is still going in the AGS. They'll reset the car, but he'll be dead last. Now that could be crucial come the end, because of course if his car is still running, then that's £50,000 for the team in the pot. So any race finish, even if it's outside the points, will give you prize money. They get starting money as well. For every car that starts, you get £50,000 of prize money that you can take into later parts of the season. Kamui Kobayashi is in 3rd position at the present moment, dropping his teammate Hulkenberg, and is closing in on Sebastian Buemi. This is the kind of form he showed us at Kyalami. And he might be on course to do that again. Vern in first at the moment. His teammate Buemi in second, but being hustled by this man, Kamui Kobayashi, in the Arrows, powered by the Alfa Romeo power unit, courtesy of Emma Butterworth's choice. But this is a fabulous run from the Arrows as he comes out of the corner. Kamui Kobayashi. We're on board with Sebastian Buemi. That's Brendan Hartley, just outside the points at the moment. But he has had plenty of opportunities to get into the points again. And he's being chased down, you can see behind, by Pedro de la Rosa. And that looks like James Courtney in the background making a bid on Bruno Senna. So there could be a change of positions there. Long way to go in this race, though. Lap 7 completed. We're on lap 8 now. And you're looking at Brendan Hartley trying to shake off Pedro de la Rosa, who is chasing him down for 11th position. Senna and Bernaldi are behind. Ericsson in 15th place. So something's happened further back to one of the BMS. Oh, Stoffel Van Dorn, the Simtech is in trouble. Well, he had such a good run at Taupo in New Zealand, but Van Dorn is out of the race this time. And that is disastrous for the Simtech. There he is, being wheeled away. What a shame. And unfortunate for team boss Scott Woodwis. It looks as though their unlucky streak has returned, certainly at Estoril for Van Dorn. No wonder Ericsson was able to sweep by so easily a little while ago. So I'm afraid Stoffel Van Dorn becomes the team's first retirement and the race's first retirement as well. Back to business again. Oh, Buemi again! Now, all season, Sebastian Buemi's been having issues with driving errors, and there was a rumour going around the paddock earlier today that Tom Butterworth is getting a little fed up with Sebastian Buemi in terms of him losing results. He led twice at Kyalami, don't forget, the first round of the season, and dropped it while leading, and then pushed the car too hard last time out at Taupo while leading, and it broke. So he's publicly stated he's actually very irritated. Oh, there's a car smoking in the background. There's a car trailing smoke behind us. That is James Courtney. James Courtney in trouble. Well, he's finished both of his first 2 races, but he's not going to finish this time. That's a water leak. What a shame for James Courtney. It's all going wrong for him. And I'm afraid to say that is the BMS Italia Day half run already. There we go. James Courtney pulling off at exactly the same place Stoffel Van Dorn pulled off the circuit. Well, this is very disappointing news for Adam Weller, team principal of BMS Italia. James Courtney has been the find of the season for them, but unfortunately, he's not going to get to the end of this race. And there is the confirmation on your screens. James Courtney out of the race. Well, this midfield battle's looking pretty tasty. We've got Heidfeld. Oh, there is Courtney's car being wheeled away. It is the Minecraft of Motorsport. We keep telling you, the graphics are from Jeff Crammon's Grand Prix 2, as is the whole software, of course. And we've had so many comments from people who've been watching the stream saying, this brings back so many memories. Now, we need to have a bit of an idea now as to what the pit lane strategies are. Let's have a look. Well, Jean-Eric Verne has got 15 laps currently in the tank. That means he's probably going to pit in about 13 laps' time. So that will take him to about lap 21, lap 22, I would think. So that is your team, that is your race leader at the moment. 5 seconds behind him is Kamui Kobayashi now. What's happened to Buemi? Well, Kobayashi's got through. So Kobayashi has passed Sebastian Buemi. I didn't see that. But Kobayashi's fueled slightly shorter than both the BARs. That's why he's got pace. Buemi's struggling. Hulkenberg's going long on the strategy. There he is in 4th position. So he's got a heavier fuel load, and that's why he's losing ground. He's got about 10 more laps than the likes of Di Resta, Glock, De Grassi, and Rossi. So they're all closing Hulkenberg down. Heavy fuel load for him then. Bourdais is next up in 9th. And then Marc Genet. Again, the Minardi team are going long on the fuel, but they always seem to come into play at the right moment. So keep an eye on that Minardi. Brendan Hartley's gone long on the strategy too, as has De La Rosa. So watch out for these 3. They are close together, but they have pace. They do have speed. Bernaldi's gone short. Bruno Senna's gone long on the strategy as well for Onyx. Ericsson's gone on a short strategy, as has Heidfeld. Wolf is a very short strategy. She's going to be one of the first ones to pit in, I think. Davidson going long in the Minardi, as is Tarquini. Alguersuari's going short strategy. Bertie likewise. And then Taki Inui, Andre Lotterer going short, and Delatraz going long. That's why he's dropping back. So that gives you a bit of an idea as to who is doing what in terms of pit lane strategies. But of course, that's only half the battle won. Now Kobayashi's gone through into position. Oh, Jean-Denis Delatraz missing his braking there and going slightly sideways through turn 7. That could have gone very badly wrong for the Swiss. So already there's been some interesting dramas through the field, but Verne, Kobayashi, Buemi, Hulkenberg is the order. And Buemi and Hulkenberg going slightly further into the race than Verne and Kobayashi. Buemi's actually going on a completely different strategy to everybody else and going slightly further into the race than the three-stoppers. I'm assuming the three-stop strategies, but it might only be a two-stopper. And then the guys who are going further into the race about lap 35 might only be doing a one-stop strategy. Certainly it looks like it's a split between one or two stops. And that's going to make a very interesting race as we get into that phase of the Grand Prix. So 2 retirements so far. James Courtney for the BMS Italia squad. And Stoffel van Dorn for Simtek. But there's definitely plenty more racing to come. And therefore quite a bit of a strategy fight coming. We are 10 laps in. 11 laps in. Sorry, this is lap 12. And we've got a very slow Nico Hulkenberg dropping back in 4th position. But that is because he's on a heavier fuel load. But he's got to make those tyres work so that he's got good pace later in the race. De Resta being held up. And again, here comes Glock trying to have a go. Andre Lotterer, a big mistake. He's made the same mistake there that Jean-Denis Delatraz made. So a bit of an issue there for Lotterer. He's got back into 23rd after his pit stop. So he's obviously passed Delatraz. And this is essentially a testing session now for Andre Lotterer. Down in 23rd. Having won at Marrakesh, he's not likely to score a point from his current position unless enough drivers up the road end up pulling off. But it's fascinating, isn't it, that the race after the updates is usually, well, so far, traditionally, we've only had Bathurst really to take it into account, but seems to have been the race where the pit stop strategies and the race on track takes priority rather than the high attrition rates. And Rossi goes very deep. Same mistake as his teammate made a lap ago. It's an easy corner to get it wrong on. But look at this traffic jam that's piling up in front. Thanks to Hulkenberg. We've got De Resta, Glock, De Grassi, and now Rossi. Oh, Rossi's got a problem. Has he hit the curb? I think he's hit the curb. Yes, he's had a suspension failure. Rossi's hit the curb in the wrong way. Let's have a look. He's caught the curb there on the way in, I think. Yes, indeed. And suspension failure right in front of Bourdais. And it's game over. That is absolutely catastrophic for Alex Rossi. And that is effectively AGS's race over. What a shame for Rossi. Suspension failure as he came up the hill. Now that is to be expected on this particular part of the course. If you've gone for an aggressive setup, that is the place where the suspension is going to be at its most punished. So a real problem there for Rossi. His race is over. And I'm afraid for Phil Kinch, this is going to be one of those sort of races where he comes back later to figure out what happens. As he'll be leaving Andre Lotterer to his own devices at the back of the field and hoping there's a point in it at the end. It's not going to be a great race for AGS after their amazing start to the season. It's all going wrong. Here's De Grassi trying to chase down the Hockenberg De Resta Glock freight train. And De Grassi running in 7th place. And that looks like Glock is finally making the bid, and this time he has got through. Finally, Glock makes the move on De Resta and gets through in a P5. Well, he's been trying to get that move done since the start of the race, essentially. And now he's into P5. So now he's going to have a go at his countryman, Nico Hulkenberg, Timo Glock, trying to have a go at Hulkenberg. But Verne is your leader. There he is, still in the BAR, out in front of Kobayashi, Buemi, and Hulkenberg. Oh, no, sorry, that is Buemi. My apologies. Trying to keep in touch still with Kamui Kobayashi. But the Arrows driver wants to win his 2nd race of the season. Buemi is under some pressure here to keep his job. So he is there in 2nd position. 3rd position, in this race. But having had a win or two in his career in various different formulas, he'll want to get one done here. So Hulkenberg is trying to keep Timo Glock at bay. Glock is trying to come past Hulkenberg. Hasn't managed it into the first corner. What's Delatraz up to? We're having a cheeky gander at the 40. I'm sure that's just to keep Dave Goddard grinning from ear to ear. Team boss of the Shannon 40 operation. It's quite funny. We had a tweet from somebody professing to be 40 course on Twitter recently saying, what on earth are our cars doing painted yellow? Well, they were painted white, red and green for only the last 3 races of their Formula 1 career. It was Canada 96 when they rebranded to the Shannon Group colours. But no money ever materialised from them, and that's why 3 races later they folded. But here is Yaman in 2nd place. Kamui Kobayashi, Buemi again pushing it too hard. and making the same mistake. That's going to cost him about a second to Kamui Kobayashi. But Buemi has had some serious issues in the first part of the season, and it's not really gone his way so far. He's had opportunities to win, and he's kind of let them fall through his fingers. So some big drama then as Jean-Eric Vergne continues to lead here from Kamui Kobayashi and Sebastian Buemi. Then Nico Hulkenberg fourth from Timo Glock, and this man, Paul Di Resta, in the Lola. They had a big performance upgrade for this one. They spent about £1.5 million coming into this weekend, and that's why Paul Di Resta is running at the front on merit, but I think he's about to be passed by Degrassi. Degrassi's going to go for it as Glock goes for Hulkenberg at the same time. Degrassi tries to commit, but Di Resta holds it round the outside. Ever the defender. Brilliant work there. As we look at Sebastian Buemi. Now this is Ericsson making his bid to go past the Onyx. And I think he's got a much better claim to the position as he comes up the inside. Oh, he had to bail out because that was well defended around the outside from Bruno Senna. So Senna holds on to it. But that could have been very nasty indeed if he had decided to commit to the move. Both of them could have ended up in the gravel at turn 1. And if you go off there, you're pretty much done for the day. That gravel trap is very thick as Hulkenberg is struggling a little bit for pace. And a little bit for grip as well, as we saw there, getting very sideways. And that's why, because Timo Glock is all over the back of him with a light fuel load, and he's trying to come through. So Buemi now running in third place. That's Vergne. Whoops. That's the first mistake Jean-Eric Vergne's made in this race. A lock-up into the left-hander before the Ayrton Senna corner. As they come through the final hairpin and onto the main straight, Jean-Eric Vergne is trying to maintain his lead. It's not easy as things currently stand for him. He continues to hold the lead of the race. But he's had his moments as well. He did have a very big error in judgment last time out at Taupo when he was battling in the midfield. He was not able to keep the car under control at all and ended up dropping it big time. So it's Vergne who leads. Kobayashi, Buemi, Hulkenberg and Glock. That is Andre Lotterer. We're looking at the man who won at Morocco, but unfortunately has not been in a winning position since that point. So this is going to be a very fantastic battle up at the front. There's Buemi in the second of the BARs. His leader and teammate Vergne is leading the race at the moment. And I say leader because he is leading on points in the championship between those two. Not that Sebastian Buemi will take satisfaction about me calling him the leader of the team. Certainly he has more points on the board. Buemi struggling to get more points on the board. So Vergne, Kobayashi, Buemi, Hulkenberg and Glock is the top 5 at the moment. Then next up is Di Resta in the MasterCard Lola. Then it's Degrassi in 7th in front of Bourdais, Jenné and Hartley to round out the top 10. There's Marcus Ericsson battling in the next crop of cars. Bernaldi in 11th from Della Rosa. Then Senna, Ericsson and Heidfeld. Heidfeld really struggling down in 15th. Estoril is not his circuit. It's quite clear to see. Susie Wolff is in there in 16th place. She's doing well. Then it's Davidson in 17th from Jaime Alguersuari, Luciano Berti and Gabriele Tarquini in 20th position. Then it is Taki Inui in front of Andre Lotterer and Jean-Denis Delatraz. And then the last 3 are out of the race. That's Alex Rossi with a suspension failure. Here comes Timo Glock making his bid on Nico Hulkenberg. And he's going to be very aggressive to that first corner. This time he gets through. So Heidfeld up at a 4th place now. So the Super Aguri going well. Oh, Luciano Berti locking up in the Midland. And they are desperately trying to get another point on the board after Berti grabbed one last time out at Taupo. Much to the expense of Jaime Alguersuari, who had an engine failure right at the end of the race and was robbed of the final point. So I was going through the retirements, wasn't I? Alex Rossi with a suspension failure in the AGS. James Courtney had a water leak a few laps before that in the BMS Italia. And then very early doors, very unfair, the Simtech Ilmore of Stoffel van Dorn pulling off with what looked like an engine failure. Certainly the car was ablaze at the back of the car, so that's definitely going to be an engine-related problem. But Jean-Eric Vergne is your leader at the moment. 7 seconds he's cleared away from Kamui Kobayashi. And it's not going to be too long before we start seeing pit stops. I think Heidfeld has actually got himself in a difficult situation here in 4th place. He's taken quite a while to get his way up into P4. And I don't think it's going to... Yeah, he's coming in on this lap, Timo Glock. So he's actually going to be the first of the leaders to come into the pits. Timo Glock, having got up into P4, is now going to make a bid straight for the pit lane. Here he comes. So he's going to be one of the first pit stops of the race. In fact, he is the first scheduled pit stop of the race. So Timo Glock in from P4. Now, this is going to tell us a little bit about what he's doing in terms of strategy. Will it be a 2-stopper or will it be a 3-stopper? I think that's a 2-stop strategy, because that will take him up to about lap 40. And then that will be a 30-lap run afterwards. So a 9.4-second stop. That's a quick one for Timo Glock. So not a bad one, but he's going to get out in about 18th place. So Kamui Kobayashi running there in second, having just lapped the 40 of Jean-Denis Delatraz. There's Andre Lotterer running in 21st. He had to back off the throttle coming through that final hairpin by the sound of it. I wonder if that car's still got some problems. Well, he's overtaken and got away from Taki Inui. So he's clearly managing to get that car up to speed faster than he was earlier on. So far, so good for Andre Lotterer as he heads for what he can only hope is going to be a finish at the moment. And then hopefully a points finish will come if he can just keep his nerve. And if he stays in the race a lot longer than his compatriots out there. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But there is Jean-Eric Verne who leads the... that's Kamui Kobayashi, who is second to Jean-Eric Verne, I should say. So we'll wait and see when the leaders are going to make their pit stops, but they're going to run a little bit longer into the race than Glock has done. Whoop! Marcus Ericsson has worked his way up to 13th, only 3 places out of the points, and is a little bit held up there by Bruno Senna. So Bruno Senna in the Onyx causing him a little bit of an issue, as into the pits comes the manner of Lucas Di Grassi and Enrique Bernaldi at the same time. Now there's Di Grassi. He's going for a same sort of strategy as Glock, and here's Bernaldi. Now, he ran very late into the race, and he's up in 11th position. So he has got a much better race, this, from Bernaldi and the Midland. And into the pits comes the Lola as well. 9.3 seconds there as Di Grassi goes out of the pits and Susie Wolf comes in. So, frantic pit lane activity now. And that's going to drop Susie Wolf back down to about 20th position. I think only 20th, unless Lotterer goes past as well. But again, they're all going... Yeah, Lotterer does go through and into 20th position. But they're all running a 2-stop strategy at this precise moment in time. I can't really see anybody choosing to gamble a 3-stopper. So I think it's going to end up being a 2-stop strategy for most of the drivers in the field. There are those, though, like Hulkenberg, that are going to go for a 1-stopper. Here is Timo Glock after his pit stop, and he's going to make the move up the inside of Jaime Alguersuari. And that puts him up into 14th place. So a good run from Glock. But Buemi running well in third. And still the BAR looking good for its current position. And it's not going to be too long before we see... Oh, now Kobayashi's in. Kobayashi's in. Now, this is a big one from second place. Kamui Kobayashi into the pits. Now, he's going even longer on the middle stint. So he's hoping for a shorter final stint. Now, that definitely gives us the indication it's going to be a 2-stop strategy from Kamui Kobayashi. But he spends longer in the pits because he's got to wait for Bourdais. So Kobayashi's going to be held up there. That could drop him behind Buemi. And Bourdais doing the same. He's going slightly further on the fuel strategy to have a very short third stint. So 10 seconds in the pits for him. That's the schedule. That's the plan. But that's going to be a very interesting fuel strategy. Now there around the outside goes Di Resta to lap the 40. Di Resta now currently in 4th place. Luciano Berti comes into the pits as well. But there's Sebastian Buemi. It's a 1-2 for BAR, but that is courtesy of Kobayashi making a pit stop. Now, Buemi's got to go and get some proper fast laps in now as Taki Inui comes in. But Buemi could do with some really quick laps to try and get away from Kamui Kobayashi. But Verne is going to pit in before that happens, I'm fairly sure. And we're going to complete lap 20 with the BAR's first and second. So, fascinating run so far. But it is going to be a very tough battle. Let's go down to the pit lane at this point and talk to a few of our team managers and see if we can get the lowdown on what is happening on pit road, because it is very exciting stuff out there at the moment. Verne is your leader, Buemi second, from Hulkenberg, Di Resta and Genet, although Kobayashi has had a pit stop. This is on board with Verne, and he's got the 40 in front. He's having to back off the throttle a little bit to avoid... Oh, sorry, that's Buemi having to back off the throttle before he laps him.
That will happen.
So let's go down to the pit lane. Topher Smith just keeping an eye on things with Super Aguri. Not a bad start to the race from Timo Glock at all, though, Topher. So perhaps there could be still a podium on the run.
Well, he dropped behind a little bit at the start. He lost the position, I believe. But he's done a really good job to make the back up so far. But became a bit stuck behind Di Resta for a while, but he did a good job to get past. The pit stop was pretty much without problems. So yeah, all he can do now is just get on with this next stint and see how far he can go before his next stop.
Good stuff, Topher. Thank you very much indeed. Let's talk to Tom Cairns. The Prosts are going reasonably well at the moment. De La Rosa putting in some good laps, but more importantly, Alguersuari's making good progress through the field. He's got a good chance in this one to get a point or two.
Well, they're both seemingly one stopping at the moment, so it could be a matter of fact that they are not banging in like really fast laps. It's more like just conserving the tyres and making sure that they last the distance of which the fuel will be allowing them to take them. So maybe once they've done their stops, they can maybe leave from a few of those that are doing either 2 or 3 stops. I'm not sort of putting high stakes on too much in the moment. It's just making sure that both cars get to the end of the race, really, something which we haven't done so far this season.
Okay, fair enough, Tom. Thanks very much. Thanks to our team managers. We'll leave them to it down there in pit road. And it's going to be a really fascinating race from here on in. We already know just how difficult the battles can be out there. And obviously our competitors are going to push very hard for the remainder of this race. There is the arrows of Nico Hülkenberg trying to get away from Paul Di Resta as they run in the top 3. Oh, Bernaldi, goodness me. He dropped it on the way out of the final bend there. And he was lucky. I've seen accidents like that in the past here at Estoril when drivers have come out of the final turn, lost the back end over the curb. There's a famous incident, of course, in 1992 when battling with Gerhard Berger, Riccardo Patrese managed to strike the back of the McLaren as Berger was making his way into the pits and ended up flipping up in the air as Kamui Kobayashi gets past Marcus Ericsson on his run up the order. So that's a good move for Kamui Kobayashi. He needs to be overtaking cars here, essentially to get back on terms with Buemi at the pit stops. And Verne is in, our race leader. Jean-Eric Verne is in the pits. Right, this is an important pit stop. Now, he's decided to go for a reasonably decent length of middle stint. So Verne is going to get out of the pits in, I think, 5th position. He should rejoin behind Marc Genet. So Buemi is your leader. Hülkenberg in 2nd. There is Marc Genet. So it's going to be about whether or not Verne can get out of the pits in good nick. And into the pits, I think we got a couple of drivers battling away for position. Well, there is Verne. And he is going to make it out in 4th place, in fact. So that's not bad at all for Verne. So Buemi is your race leader now. But he's got a pit stop coming shortly. Hülkenberg's going to take over the lead. Based on his, well, we think it's going to be a one-stop strategy for Hülkenberg. Or certainly a very long opening stint and then 2 short stints if he's going for 2 stops. Alguersuari pits in the Prost from 17th, so that's going to keep him back down the order again. But certainly he's got a good chance of points if the Prost continues to run as it is. Buemi, Hülkenberg, Di Resta, Verne, Genet is the top 5. Here comes Heidfeld, and he's going to try and get past Susie Wolff. Hasn't been able to do so. So Heidfeld has not had a great run. His pit stop did not go according to plan in the Super Aguri. He lost the place to Susie Wolff. Those two are racing for position and actually having a proper battle. There's Anthony Davidson in the Minardi. Is all going well for him. So far so good on lap 23 of 71. And there is Nico Hülkenberg in P2. So the Arrows driver is just keeping it ticking over. He just needs to have a sensible run. And having won the Le Mans 24 Hours back in 2015, he's got a good chance of keeping that metronomic rhythm apace. So Nico Hülkenberg, doing a great run and having a very good race of it at the moment in 2nd place. Looks good potentially for a victory if he can get this one-stop strategy working to his advantage as Kobayashi blasts past the 40 down the main straight to lap it. Still not great speed from those Life engines. Only Dave Goddard would have chosen Ling Long tyres and Life engines in the back of the 40. As Luciano Berti, whoops-a-daisy, is running very well indeed. I have to say, full credit to Dave Goddard though. He's managed to engineer those Lives to a much faster package than Life ever did. As a manufacturer back in 1990. If you don't know that story, just YouTube it. And I promise you, it'll make you giggle. Into the left-hander. Towards the end of the lap comes Enrique Bernaldi. Has yet to score a point this year. But the car has definitely had the pace to. In fact, it did score a point last time out at Taupo. So 12 of our 13 teams have scored points this year. The only one that has not is the Prost team. As there goes Ericsson, lapping Taki Inui. So Ericsson in the Simtac laps Taki Inui's 40. As Brendan Hartley there runs in 6th. And look who's behind him. Here he is again, Pedro De La Rosa. He is always good in the right place at the right time. And this man is just so good at putting himself into a decent competitive position. He had a very quiet race at Taupo before retiring, but again, before that happened, he was looking good for a decent finish. So if the Prost team could finally break their jinx, they've got a good chance here. So Buemi running well. Hulkenberg second. De Resta third from Verne and Genet. Then in sixth position is Brendan Hartley from Pedro de la Rosa and Kamui Kobayashi. Then it's Bruno Senna in front of Timo Glock, who's got past Degrassi, as into the pits comes Ericsson. So Ericsson is in the pits in the Simtek. Davidson, Bourdais and Bonaldi are next. Then Lotterer, Tarquini, Wolf, Heidfeld, Alguersuari. Then Bertie, Inouye and Delatraz. The three retirements are Alex Rossi in the AGS with a suspension failure, James Courtney with a water leak in the BMS Italia, and Stoffel Van Dorn pulled off in the Simtek with a suspected engine failure. So through they come again. And that is Bourdais battling with Marc Genet. Yet again. Oh, sorry. No, that's Davidson. My apologies. So Bourdais, having had a pit stop, has rejoined out behind Anthony Davidson, who's on a one-stop strategy. Or certainly a heavy fuel load, even if it's not a one-stop strategy. It could be a long first stint with two shorts. I have seen that before, but it's unlikely at Estoril as Bourdais makes the move on Davidson. Davidson doesn't really give him too much resistance because he's got his own strategy to work through. He's got a good chance of a point or two here as Davidson, but he needs to make the strategy work. As into the pits comes De Resta. So De Resta is coming in from P3 and Buemi in as well. Buemi's in as well. So that's Hulkenberg into the lead. And Buemi's going slightly shorter for this stint. That's interesting. So Buemi wants a more aggressive strategy. As into the pits comes Paul De Resta. Now, what are the Lola team going to do? Again, a short stint this time, because they've gone a little bit further into the race, you see. So going slightly further in means they can have a quick pit stop now. Now, where is Buemi going to get out? Behind Kobayashi. So Kobayashi definitely beat him out. And Buemi just gets out in front of Bruno Senna. So that was close. Degrassi, though, has made up big time on Buemi. Degrassi made a pit stop earlier, don't forget. And look how much time he's made up on Sebastian Buemi. He's got a great shot. Oh, Glock's in trouble. Glock's got an engine failure. Oh, it's devastating bad luck for Timo Glock. He had a chance there to go for the victory today. Certainly a podium was in the offing for Timo Glock, and it's all gone wrong for the Super Aguri squad. What a shame. Timo Glock is the latest retirement. And that is a very unfortunate state of affairs for Timo Glock. His race is over. So it's game done and dusted as his teammate goes by, still stuck behind Susie Wolf. That's an ominous situation over at Super Aguri. So there is your new race leader, Nico Hulkenberg. And he's 5 seconds ahead of Jean-Eric Verne, who is in second place. Third is Marc Genet, but he has yet to pit either, as has Brendan Hartley in fourth, or De La Rosa in fifth. So Genet, Hartley, De La Rosa have been close to each other all race long. And they are going to go for a one-stop strategy. They are third, fourth and fifth. And they all want to pit in around the same sort of time. And the 40 is causing a massive headache to Bonaldi. Bonaldi trying to get through and is unable to. As Hulkenberg continues to lead in the arrows. As Alguersuari, whoa, careful there, mate. Jaime Alguersuari nearly going off there, the Spaniard. Manages to bring it back together, though. As he climbs up through the very tight and twisty section of the course that ends the lap. With that massive climb in the middle of the circuit. So Hulkenberg leading Verne by 4.8 seconds. So Verne is catching Hulkenberg. It looks as though the two-stop strategy does appear to be the right way to go in terms of pure pace. But how much time will Verne lose to Hulkenberg in this second phase of the Grand Prix? That's the key factor. So Hulkenberg leads Verne, Genet, Hartley and De La Rosa in the top 5. Then in 6th is Kobayashi, 7th is Buemi, 8th is Degrassi, 9th is Senna, and 10th is Paul De Resta. The big winner out of the first phase of pit stops is Lucas Degrassi in the Manor. He's been able to make up a couple of places there on De Resta in particular, and that's put him up into 8th position at the present moment. That's net 5th, essentially, for Degrassi, who is another driver who just seems to be able to put himself into a good competitive position. So that is a very good run so far from Degrassi. Hartley looking reasonably good as well in 4th place as he runs just behind this man, Marc Genet. There's only half a second between them, and you'll notice that when they come through the first corner. Well, maybe not, because the man is too close to us to be able to spot behind the wing. So still a very tight battle between these two cars. There he is. As Nick Heidfeld struggling there. Oh, he's struggling to hold off Well, he can't get past Susie Wolf, and I think he's about to lose the place if he's not careful to Marcus Ericsson in the Simtech. But these guys a long way out of the points in 16th and 17th, and this is not good news for either Heidfeld or Ericsson. Both of them would have expected to be right up there in the midst of the top 10, battling for positions. And Ericsson is going to commit to the move. Well, I'm not sure if that move worked or not, but we went to Hulkenberg, and I thought for a horrible moment that Hulkenberg had a problem while leading, and that really would have put the kibosh on his chances of victory. But he might still have a chance of one in this race. There's Bruno Senna running deep. I think there's been some kind of residue dropped down to that corner because a lot of drivers are running wide there. And there's been a few problems through the field. I can tell you that Ericsson didn't make the move on Heidfeld in the end, so that remains stalemate. 22 cars remaining of the 26 that started. We're on lap 29 out of 71. Oh, that's Taki Inui. Taki Inui's gone off there. Let's have a look and see how he did it. Oh, he's done it quite a while ago, actually. So I think he's gone off at the left-hander and into the gravel. And basically, now his race is about trying to get going again before the marshals come and rescue him. Well, this is not unlike his thrills and spills back in the 1995 F1 season, where Taki Inui painted himself in all kinds of glory. But can he get going again? That's the problem. So Taki Inui, well, he's found a gear, and it's the right one, and he has got going again. So there we go, Taki Inui back into the race. But that has not cost him a position, because he was in 21st when he went off, and he is still in 21st place now. In fact, his teammate is still quite a few seconds down the road. So a trip into the gravel for Taki Inui, but not a race retirement. Heidfeld now having another crack at Susie Wolf down the main straight. He really could do with making this happen. He's going too early. That's the thing. He's going in the slipstream too early to overtake Wolf and then has to back out of it and have another go. He needs to just get right up close to Wolf and pull out at the last possible minute to keep the momentum flowing. See, Lotterer has got this sort of pace in the Mugen engine to get up alongside Bernaldi in the Toyota, and he's through before they even make the corner. Good driving from Lotterer. Now, this is a good battle. This is for third. This is Gene, Hartley, Buemi and Kobayashi. But look how quickly Vern is closing in on Hulkenberg on fresh tyres. So Vern is catching Hulkenberg, and this, of course, is for the race victory. Both of these drivers are going to need to make another pit stop later. But Hulkenberg's pit stop is imminent, I think. Hulkenberg's going for a one-stopper. So yes, indeed. Can he keep Vern behind him, ready for the pit stop? If he can, then there's still a good chance for Hulkenberg to win this race. But Gene, we're on board with in third, has got Buemi, Hartley and Kobayashi right underneath him, as Gene, Buemi and Hartley are trying to hold each other at bay. Well, Buemi's got through into fourth place. There's Heidfeld now having shaken off Ericsson again, as round the outside of Taki Inui. That's brave. Not many people go around the outside of the Parabolica, or what is now known as the Curva Ayrton Senna. And here comes Buemi making the bid on Gene. So through to the inside line of Marc Genet, and I don't think there's any debate about that one. Buemi gets through into P3. No major dramas there. So Buemi goes through. Genet, of course, on a one-stop strategy, so he's still got a good chance to beat Buemi. But he needs to make a good run of this second stint. But Buemi up to third. Genet is fourth. Hartley is in fifth place. And that's because he's able to stay in front of Kamui Kobayashi. De La Rosa 7th in the Prost, then De Grassi 8th in the Manor, 9th is De Restas Lola, and 10th is Senna, as we ride on board with race leader Nico Hulkenberg. Outside the points, it's Bourdais, Davidson, Bernaldi, Tarquini, and Susie Wolf. Then it's Nick Heidfeld and Marcus Ericsson, Jaime Alguersuari and Andre Lotterer. And then it's Luciano Berti and the 240s, Taki Inui and Jean-Denis Delatraz. Our retirements are Timo Glock in the Super Aguri, the AGS of Alex Rossi, the BMS Italia of James Courtney, and Stoffel Van Dorn in the Simtech. Jean-Eric Verne is now just a second back from Nico Hulkenberg. Back on the power. Through the right, flat-out king. There's Jaime Alguersuari. Dear oh dear. Slight error of judgment there, but keeps it on the road. Jaime Alguersuari, one of many former Red Bull juniors in the field, but he's got his Grand Prix spec helmet on, so he's back in those colours again as they come out of the final hairpin. And that is Jaime Alguersuari trying to close up on a few of the cars up the road, but he's on a differing fuel strategy to some of those competitors around him. Look at that, though. Hulkenberg and Verne 16 seconds ahead of Buemi as Bernaldi gets it very crossed up as he duels with Anthony Davidson. And that is for 12th position. We're on lap 31 of 71. So there is about 41 laps to go. And we're almost at the halfway point in this Grand Prix now, as the cars continue to battle away around the Estoril circuit. So they continue to battle. And it's... Oh, Verne slowing! Verne slowing! Championship leader and race leader up until that point. Jean-Eric Verne in trouble. It's not going to be a repeat victory for Jean-Eric Verne as it was at Bathurst. Jean-Eric Verne is slowing and is out of the race. Oh, that's devastating for Tom Butterworth. Jean-Eric Verne was going well, looking good, and he's out. Well, many of the other team managers have breathed a massive sigh of relief as well, because BAR were leading the team standings coming into this weekend. And that's a big points haul lost. Now that means that Nico Hulkenberg now has a brilliant chance of winning this race, because he's 15 seconds ahead of Sebastian Buemi. Well, that is devastating for Tom Butterworth and the whole BAR team. But for this man, Nico Hulkenberg in the Arrows, it's a golden opportunity. Maybe the one-stop strategy is going to work after all. But certainly for the BAR, it is devastating for Jean-Eric Verne. He will not retake the lead of the Drivers' Championship as was thought about 2 laps ago. So Hulkenberg leads Buemi, Gene, Hartley and Kobayashi. There is the sole remaining BAR now, as Sebastian Buemi continues to run in second place. But it's Hulkenberg, Buemi, Gene, Hartley and Kobayashi. Then in 6th is Della Rosa in front of De Grassi, De Resta, Senna and Bourdais. Then it's Davidson in 11th in front of Bernaldi and Tarquini. Susie Wolff is 14th. Then it is Marcus Ericsson in front of Nick Heidfeld, Jaime Alguersuari, Andre Lotterer, Luciano Berti, and the 240s of Inouye and Delatraz. And then our race retirements are Jean-Eric Verne, race leader for many laps in this race. Buemi pushing very hard in second place. He knows that there's a chance to win for BAR here. And if he wins, he'll be the 5th different winner of the season. But then if Hulkenberg wins, he'll be the 5th different winner of the season. But Verne is out, Glock is out, Rossi is out, Courtney is out, and Van Dorn is out. So there's still a long, long way to go. But as we reach the half-distance mark, this man, Nico Hulkenberg, is looking pretty sweet for a race victory. Here comes Marcus Ericsson, now popping out and behind Susie Wolff. He has to think better of it. But he could use the strategy. Oh, now look. The Super Aguri behind has dropped a long way back. So Heidfeld was in front of Ericsson, but Ericsson's now on the prowl. He's got past the Super Aguri of Heidfeld and now is taking on Susie Wolff. So Marcus Ericsson making a comeback in this one as they try and lap Taki Inouye. Well, that's held up Susie Wolff. So Ericsson's got a chance. Oh, Taki Inui's blocked across the Simtech. Well, that's not good as far as Marcus Ericsson's concerned. That's kind of backed him into the Super Aguri. Taki Inouye making no friends at Simtech. Well, Buemi is closing in on Hulkenberg. The gap is down to 14 seconds. Here's Kamui Kobayashi in the second Arrows. Goodness me, he nearly drops it out of the final turn now. Pushing hard, trying to get the most out of the package. And the Arrows is going well. So there are now 5 retirements in this race. And one of them is a very dramatic one. Jean-Eric Verne, championship leader for a lot of this season. Certainly since he won at Bathurst. He took the victory of the championship lead. And Marc Genet took it back off him last time out. But Verne has had 2 poor races in a row now where he'll score no points. A retirement last time, a retirement this time. Oh, here comes Ericsson having another crack at Susie Wolff. There's good power in that Ilmore engine. But he needs to sit behind Wolff for a little bit longer. I think he's just popping out too early again. And he has to back out of it. He's just getting a little bit too hungry too early there, Marcus Ericsson. As Marc Genet goes very deep into the hairpin. Very deep into the hairpin. And he's cannon fodder for Brendan Hartley. The Kiwi closes right up now. So Hartley's got a good chance on the championship leader here. Marc Genet in the Minardi. Is he going to be able to hold on to this position though? That's going to be the key factor. Back with the team that gave him his first ever race. And that is Nico Hulkenberg coming into the pits. So let's have a look at the strategy. And yes, it is just a one stop for Hulkenberg. Bang on the halfway mark. Lap 35. This is going to be a long stop. This will drop him down out of the top 5. 11 seconds. So Hulkenberg will rejoin in about 7th place, I think. And Hartley comes in as well. Now, this is a crucial stop too. He's going to go to the end, as is Della Rosa. So Della Rosa comes in too. They're all going to pit to the end of the race now. So a great run this from the team at Prost. Can Della Rosa get out in front of the man? And no, he's going to rejoin behind again. But about the same length of time in the pits, so that's crucial. So out in front now is Sebastian Buemi. The other BAR takes the lead now. Sebastian Buemi, the Swiss driver, leads the way. Here's Marcus Ericsson, making his bid to get past the Lola again. And again, he backs out of it. He's going to make a late lunge. Oh, Marcus Ericsson getting on with it. But did he get through? I'm not sure he managed that one. He's in there following the likes of Di Grassi and Tarquini. Sorry, that's Hartley and Tarquini. Hartley having just made his pit stop. And I can tell you that Ericsson did not make it past Wolf. Not yet, at least. So Wolf is still there in 14th. Then it's Ericsson and Heidfeld. They're still going a plenty. But this is going to be such a tough race and such a long, drawn-out affair for our leaders out in front. This is Bernoldi in 10th position. Another point for Midland on the way, maybe. Now, Della Rosa has made a pit stop, but he's on a one-stop strategy. And he has rejoined down in about 14th place, I think it is. Sorry, 13th place for Della Rosa. So looking at Prost's chances of getting their first point, it's still pretty high, actually. 13th and 18th at the moment. As into the pits comes the man in what was 4th or 5th position, I think. That was Marc Genet. Oh, Bruno Senna in. My apologies. So Bruno Senna comes in. Marc Genet's gone very deep into this strategy. But there goes Bruno Senna, and he rejoins outside the points. Buemi is 7 seconds ahead of Marc Genet. And oh, no, that's the other Simtech. Ah, devastating for Marcus Ericsson. He was driving a brilliant race too. He was making some good progress there, but unfortunately, he's got an engine problem. And that's going to turn into... Yes, the car's caught fire. The car's caught fire. And he goes past the scene where Stoffel Van Dorn pulled off. These cars are mighty quick. But the trouble is, they don't do well in qualifying. And they just haven't got the reliability to go the distance. That's the big problem at the moment. But it's a shame, a real shame, because Marcus Ericsson had a good chance in this race. But I'm afraid Estoril is not kind to Simtech. Maybe it will be at Brno. But Marcus Ericsson is about to pull off on the gravel. On the far side of the course there, up at turn 6. He pulls off. And that's a very bitter and sorry end for the Simtech race, as it's game over for them just after half distance. And they will have to come back at Brno in the Czech Republic to see what happens next. Buemi is your leader. Genet in second place. Oh, Alguersuari's pulling off now. Oh, gearbox problems for Jaime Alguersuari then, as he yet again retires from the race. And now they're really starting to drop like flies again. So we've lost 2 in the same moment. First Ericsson and now Alguersuari. So problems there for the Prost as he too pulls off. Now here comes Heidfeld having a go at Susie Wolf. So Susie Wolf is definitely slower than Heidfeld down the straight. But again, Heidfeld just needs to pace himself. He's definitely faster than Susie Wolf in a straight line. But he needs to wait for his moment. He's going too early on the overtake, in my opinion. Now, Marc Genet is in second, and he's about to come into the pits. Now, this is Buemi's best challenger long-term for the victory, or certainly one of them. Hulkenberg is outside the top 6, but then Kobayashi, Di Grassi, and Aresta all have to make another pit stop. So we're going to watch Marc Genet's pit stop in the Minardi. This is the championship leader, so good at putting himself into a decent position, has finished every race so far this year as well. So Marc Genet running well in the Minardi. Down the pit straight and down out of the top 5 comes Marc Genet. No wonder he's leading the championship. He has finished in the points every single race this year. Comes to a stop. And I'm fairly sure Marc Genet is the only driver to have scored points in every single race this year. It's a long stop, but that is because he's going to the end. And he will rejoin in 9th position, because he's in 8th as he comes down the straight. But there is Brendan Hartley. He's going to get past him on the way to the first corner without any hesitation at all. And there goes Hartley through. It was close. Oh, Di Resta slowing! For the second time this year, De Resta is out. This time it's a gearbox failure. As Paul De Resta, he's not really in a safe place there, but it looks like the car just hit a box of neutrals. The car just died there, basically, for Paul De Resta. So the Lola is now out of the race. They really are dropping out like flies. And Paul De Resta joins the retirement list in the MasterCard Lola. Game over. And he is absolutely devastated with that. We said that the Lolas had almost bulletproof reliability. Not in Estoril is the answer to that one. So out of the race goes Paul De Resta in the MasterCard Lola. His race has ended. Back to the race leader, Sebastian Buemi, 11 seconds ahead of Kamui Kobayashi. Then it's Lucas Di Grassi and Nico Hulkenberg as Buemi laps Heidfeld in the Super Aguri. Well, tough times at Super Aguri when Glock was looking good for a podium. Now, Buemi has got another pit stop coming soon, and that'll be his second and final pit stop. Kobayashi, goodness me, he's pushing hard, and that's because he's got Di Grassi right behind him. Now, Kobayashi is going to go longer into the race than Di Grassi and Buemi, but the gap is 12 seconds. Now, Kobayashi's still in a position to win this one. Hulkenberg, however, is going to the end. Now, I think Hulkenberg is going to take the lead of this race when Buemi makes his pit stop, as will Kobayashi and Di Grassi. Hulkenberg is the net leader of this Grand Prix. Then it's Bourdais. Then it's Bernoldi. Bernoldi's in P6 in the Midland. That is phenomenal. I wasn't expecting that at all, but Enrique Bernoldi is right there in the top 6. And Ben Johnston will be delighted if he finishes there. So this is definitely turning out to be a great race for Midland. But whether or not it's going to remain that way or not, well, we still have a long way to go. This is Kobayashi trying to shake off Lucas Di Grassi. Arrows versus Manor. And here comes Heidfeld. Heidfeld? What is Heidfeld up to? Heidfeld is trying to unlap himself from Buemi. Nick Heidfeld is trying to prove a point here. I was just going to say, if he actually did that on Buemi, then that would be catastrophic in terms of Buemi's chances of winning the race, because that would back him into the likes of Kobayashi and Di Grassi, and obviously, of course, Nico Hulkenberg, who is a much greater threat than the other two. Hulkenberg is only 18 seconds back from Buemi and doesn't have to pit again. Buemi does have to pit again. So Hulkenberg is now the new favourite to win this race. Now, Hulkenberg is in 4th, but he doesn't have to pit again. The 3 cars in front of him do. There's Lotterer, who's now in 11th, so he's been making big gains in this race to come back at it. Kobayashi and Di Grassi, 2nd and 3rd. Behind them is Hulkenberg in 4th place. He's already made his one and only pit stop. Here's De La Rosa, running in 9th in the Prost, as he charges his way through the first couple of corners. So let's look at the order, because we've had some big names pull off of late. Buemi is your leader, Kobayashi 2nd, then Di Grassi right behind him. Hulkenberg is 4th. And the favourite to win this race at the moment, because he's not got any more pit stops to come. Buemi, Kobayashi and Di Grassi all have one more stop to make. Oh, problem in front of us. A big problem in front of us. That was De La Rosa looking at a very smoky Brendan Hartley. Brendan Hartley coming to a stop. Well, that's one of the Manners in trouble, and that promotes De La Rosa up to 8th. But for Brendan Hartley, it's game over. Oh, and the car's caught fire as well. They get very hot here in Estoril. And unfortunately, it's game over for Brendan Hartley. He's going to have to find a marshal post with a fire extinguisher. He'll pull that off probably about here-ish. This is about, well, he's still going. He really needs to pull that car off the road, to be honest. So Brendan Hartley driving around with a car on fire. Is he trying to get it back to the pits in the hope that they can sort something? Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it. So Brendan Hartley out of the final turn is now going to pull off. He brings the car to the inside line. And the Manor is going to pull off the road as one of the Onyxes goes past. Game over then for Brendan Hartley. He had a great run on home soil last time out at Taupo, but here in Estoril, it's all over. And that is a real shame. So Brendan Hartley retires from the race and he joins the now growing list of retirements. It's Buemi who leads. Kobayashi is 2nd now. Di Grassi is 3rd behind him. Then Hulkenberg in 4th place. Then it is Bourdais in 5th position in the Onyx. Bernoldi is in 6th position. Great run from the Midland. Then Marc Genet in front of Pedro de la Rosa, Bruno Senna and Andre Lotterer in the top 10. You would never have said that 30 laps ago. We're on lap 41 of 71 and we've got 31 to go. Buemi is your leader. Outside the top 10, we've got Wolf, Davidson, Luciano Berti and Gabriele Tarquini. Then it's Nick Heidfeld. Where is his pace, by the way? He's down in 15th with no chance of getting up the order the way things currently are. Then in 16th is technically Taki Inui and 17th is Delatraz as we have retirements. Brendan Hartley, Paul Di Resta, Jaime Alguersuari, Marcus Ericsson, Jean-Eric Verne when effectively leading the race. Then Timo Glock, Alex Rossi, James Courtney and Stoffel Van Dorn. They are dropping out of the race left, right and centre. And we have just 17 cars remaining here at the Portuguese Grand Prix at Estoril. Now, I don't think it's long at all before Buemi comes in. Indeed, it's not. Look, he's got very low fuel. As has Degrassi, who is now in second place. Wait a minute. Degrassi's in second. He got past Kobayashi. So Degrassi has made the move on Kobayashi. So is his teammate Flounders. He is storming Lucas Degrassi and has made the crucial move to get past Kamui Kobayashi. And he needed to because he's got less fuel on board. So this is a crucial phase of the race for Degrassi. He needed to get past Kobayashi in order to jump him at the pit stops. He had to make some ground and make use of the fact he's got a lighter car now to try and get a bit of a gap between himself and the Japanese and then try to overcut him at the pit stops. That was the only chance. He needed to get through in a second and he's done it. Hulkenberg is in fourth and does not need to make another pit stop. This man, Marc Genet, who is lapping one of the 40s, also does not need to make another pit stop. But both Bourdais and Benaldi do. Benaldi's pit stop is imminent in 6th position. Bourdais got a few laps to run before he needs to. In 8th position, De La Rosa doesn't have to pit again, so he can just keep on ticking over. He could get a top 5 finish here, De La Rosa. That would be exactly what Prost needs. Senna is 9th, and he can go to the end of the race as well in the Onyx. Lotterer is going to need one more pit stop in 10th, as will Wolf, but Davidson will not. So the points are still looking very competitive at the moment, but there have been some big names to drop out. Well, this is going to be my last time to go down into the pit lane as I talk to some of the team managers as Davidson locks up on the way through the left-hander. But I am going to head back down into the pit lane and talk it over with a few of our team managers because some of them are looking relatively sheepish compared to where they were earlier on. And I'm going to speak to 3 of them. I'm going to speak to the battlers in the mid-pack, but there's definitely some good performances coming from them in the offing. So let's have a look. Let's have a chat with Sam Hall. Their man is obviously doing very well. Sam, Lucas has just made a crucial overtake on Kamui Kobayashi for 2nd position. You needed him to do that to stand any chance of beating him today. That looks like a really timely manoeuvre for the Brazilian.
Yeah, it looks all right for Lucas, but obviously we've got Brendan's reliability problems coming back again. I mean, there are certain cars otherwise in the grid that seem to be suffering with the same things week in, week out. So, I mean, we'll just have to see what we can do from here and hopefully Lucas can bring the points in.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Over to Alex Goldschmidt at the Minardi squad. Now, Alex, Mark is just doing the one-stop strategy, as is Anthony. You guys went for a cautious approach, but it definitely looks like it's going to pay dividends the way things currently stand.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's sort of trying to look champion at what it is at the moment, or maybe slightly extend it. I mean, Anthony's looking to get some more points on the board after a non-finish at Taupo. So the guys decided to go a bit more conservative, not push the engines too hard. And we'll see how it all pans out. Still plenty of this race left to go, Jake. And once again, I'm doing the Christian Horner knee jiggle at the moment because I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm just hoping that everything sort of works out, but we'll see.
Fair play. Sounds good to me. Thanks, Alex. Over to Ryan Ferris on the pit wall for Onyx. Sebastian Bourdais and Bruno Senna doing an absolutely fantastic job. Bourdais' strategy is completely different to a lot of the others out there. He's going a little bit longer on the fuel than some of the others out there. He must know something, and you guys must know something we don't.
Well, we were just going to go for a gamble on the strategy, see if it pays off, and it seems to be doing quite well for us. We're in 5th at the moment, and I believe Senna's in 8th or 9th at the moment, so both cars in the points. Obviously, Senna a non-finish last time out, so it'd be good for him to get some points this time out.
Okay, cheers, Ryan. Thank you, boys. Have a great run to the end of the race. So now Lucas Degrassi has pitted in from 4th position. So obviously that is now going to be our prime focus. Let's see where Degrassi is going to get out onto the pits again. I want to see if I can find him. Right, he's going to the end of the race, of course. Bourdais goes through into 4th position. Marc Genet, now this is the man he's trying to beat out of the pits. It's crucial that Degrassi gets out of the pit lane in front of Marc Genet, and this is going to be very tight between the two. No, Genet's going to get there first. So Marc Genet gets out in front of Lucas Degrassi. That is critical. He was trying to undercut the Minardi, but Marc Genet has beaten him out of the pits from their pit stops. So now Degrassi's going to have to try and take on Marc Genet on the racetrack. That's going to set up a bit of a show for us. Excellent stuff. Susie Wolf comes in from 11th position. So the Lola, the one remaining Lola in the race, still working hard for Susie Wolf. They have finished every race so far this year at Lola. As Jean-Denis Delatraz gets out of the way of Bruno Senna. Enrique Benoldi has had his pit stop and has rejoined in 11th. So it's Buemi leading Kobayashi by 16 seconds. Then Hulkenberg in 3rd. Buemi's in. The race leader's in. Race leader, Sebastian Buemi, is in the pits. Let's see if we can find him. Here we go. So Buemi comes in before Kobayashi, but he's going to rejoin behind Hulkenberg. This is where the race really starts now. Lap 46. 9 seconds pit stop. Hulkenberg screams through. So this is where the race begins. Buemi is going to come out of the pits several seconds down the road from Nico Hulkenberg, and he's going to have to push if he wants to win this race. He's got no chance of doing it unless he can get on with it. And Bourdais is going to come across the line. Not in time. There he is. So Bourdais in 4th behind Buemi, but Kobayashi leads 2 seconds in front of Hulkenberg. But Kobayashi's going to need to make another pit stop. Hulkenberg, his teammate, is not. And it looks as though Nico Hulkenberg is going to make the one-stop strategy work in his favour. As into the pits comes Lotterer from 9th position. The sole remaining AGS. Lotterer comes straight into the pits. Now, he's got himself back into a points-paying position after a lot of hard work in this race. And just staying hungry. You never give up in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. You never know where you're going to finish. And that's a short stop because he doesn't need to put that much fuel in the car. So he rejoins in. I think he'll rejoin behind Heidfeld, but that is a very important position because he's still very close to the points. So Kamui Kobayashi is not far from making his pit stop. In fact, he's still got a couple of laps, but this is important for the Arrows team. Hulkenberg's just got to keep his rhythm going. He's 2 seconds behind his Japanese teammate, but he just needs to follow his own line. Buemi in 3rd, although net 2nd if he can beat Kobayashi out of the pits. And it looks as though he's going to do that no trouble at all. Bourdais is 4th. Genet is 5th. And he's going to stay in 5th position. Although there's a chance, actually, that Kobayashi may lose out to Marc Genet as well. Because, of course, Kobayashi was behind Degrassi at the pit stops. So that's worth bearing in mind. That could get quite messy. So Susie Wolf overtaking one of the 40s to get past in position. 17 cars remain in this Portuguese Grand Prix at Estoril. So obviously there's going to be some tough battles to come in this race. We're looking at the battle on the graphic is for 6th position. Those are the points paying positions lower down. Kobayashi making the mistake there in the arrows. He's under pressure. They're telling him to push and push like crazy because Degrassi is only 27 seconds behind him. And if he doesn't get this done, he's going to rejoin in 5th, possibly even 6th place. And Kobayashi wants a podium. I think he's going to leave this too late, you know. He's got all sorts of difficulties, Kobayashi, by the look of things. Hulkenberg is right there with him. A couple of mistakes from Kobayashi on this lap. And Bertie nearly overshooting big time there in the Midland. So that ended up very nearly in trouble. But Kobayashi running well in the lead of the race in front of Hulkenberg. But this is going to be a tight battle. They know that. It's going to be a tough race for them. And they know, obviously, that it's going to be a tight battle to the flag. Hulkenberg going to the full length distance in the 128s at the moment. He's actually going quicker than Kobayashi, who's obviously on worn tyres. But Kobayashi's on a lighter fuel load. He's on fumes at the moment compared to his teammate Hulkenberg. But Hulkenberg's got the fresher tyres. Hence, he's able to make a little bit more pace out of this car than Kobayashi currently. And it's looking like Hulkenberg is going to get his first Grand Prix victory in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. Here comes Lotterer up the inside of Tarquini. And he gets through on Gabriele Tarquini. No problem at all there as he passes the BMS Italia. And of course, the 2018 World Touring Car Cup winner. The oldest FIA champion of them all. Kobayashi leads the way. Hulkenberg second behind him by 2.7 seconds. This is the battle further back. This is Davidson versus Benoldi. This is Davidson versus Bertie, I should say. No, I was right the first time. It is Bernaldi. Similar helmets, Bernaldi and Bertie. But Sebastian Buemi is third and looking likely to be second once the pit stops are all wrapped up, because Kobayashi is going to pit in from the lead of the race very shortly. Hulkenberg continues to lead. Kobayashi staying out another lap as Buemi runs in third. Bourdais is fourth. De Grassi is fifth and going very quickly. So Kobayashi is in trouble here. He leads the race, but I think he's left it too long. I think he should have pitted a little bit earlier to bring his strategy a little further forward. Bernaldi is right there in 10th, just in behind Anthony Davidson. So Davidson is 9th in the second Minardi. What's happened to Marc Genet? What's happened to Marc Genet? Genet's gone! Genet's gone from the top 5. He's down to 6th. So Genet has lost the position to De Grassi. Now that's important. Oh, Taki Inui running very deep there into the hairpin, and that's causing big problems for Bernaldi. But De Grassi has got past Marc Genet and is pulling away from him, so Genet is going to be lucky to pick up a podium in this race by the look of things. Certainly a points finish is still in the offing, though, for the man who has finished every race so far this season. And as the battle continues, Andre Lotterer pushing hard in 12th position, trying to get back into the points for AGS. But the Automobile Gonforenes Sportif team has already had a victory this year at Marrakesh, but they're not going to get another one today. They're too far back. Heidfeld is in from 11th. So Heidfeld in the Super Aguri pits in, and that is going to drop him out of the points again. So it's going to be a tough race from here on in. Buemi running in third position. Now, is there going to be a pit stop this time for Kamui Kobayashi? Is he going to come into the pits? No, he continues on again, Kamui Kobayashi. So he's going to do one more lap. Now he's going to pit in. He's about a second off his best. So he's going well considering the tyre life, but De Grassi is just making mincemeat of him down in 5th position. And that is who he was battling with before the pit stops. So Kobayashi is not going to get back into this race in the top 5 the way things currently stack up. So it's going to be Hulkenberg, this man, who leads the race. Buemi 2nd, Bourdais 3rd. De Grassi will be 4th. And in 5th place will be... Well, will it be Genet or will it be Kobayashi? It's going to be a tight one. But Kobayashi can really not afford to be stuck behind Taki Inui for any length of time. And Bourdais in trouble! Oh no! Sebastian Bourdais was looking for a podium. Engine problems. Sebastian Bourdais out of the race. The car's on fire. And that was a podium. A guaranteed podium pretty much for Sebastian Bourdais. Gone. Well, disaster for Sebastian Bourdais. And that is game over for one of the Onyxes. His teammate passes his position, Bruno Senna. But that's devastating for Sebastian Bourdais. They have to drag it across the racetrack to bring it back to a safety position. But it's game over, I'm afraid, for Sebastian Bourdais. And now Susie Wolff. Well, the bulletproof reliability of the Lolas comes to an end after a massive package upgrade for Europe. Lola are out of it as Kobayashi pits. But out of the race goes Susie Wolff. Lola will not score for the first time this year. They have scored points in every race so far. And now both Lolas are out. So Kobayashi's in the pits. That puts Hulkenberg's out! Hulkenberg's out of the race! We need to look at that one again, but Hulkenberg slowed on the main straight. Yes, Hulkenberg! Suspension failure! A guaranteed victory for the Arrows. But Hulkenberg is now out. Oh my goodness, Hulkenberg must have made a mistake coming out of the final turn, and now his race is over. So Wolff is out, Hulkenberg is out, Bourdais is out. Oh my goodness, they are dropping out of this race left, right and centre, and that gives the lead back to Sebastian Buemi. Buemi leads the Grand Prix again. Well, De Grassi is now 2nd, 3rd is Marc Genet, and 4th is Kamui Kobayashi. After his pit stop, De La Rosa is in a brilliant 5th. And in 6th place it is Senna in front of Davidson, Bernaldi, Lotterer and Tarquini looking for the final point now. In front of Heidfeld, Bertie and the 40s. And there are only 14 cars still running. Well, they definitely are falling off the racetrack now. Buemi is there. 14 cars remaining. He can go to the end and he leads. He's lucky, but luck has nothing to do with it in Grand Prix racing. You've got to keep on going on. And it's devastating. In one lap, Arrows goes from victorious to absolute catastrophe. And Kobayashi has rejoined in 4th position. That is not what they wanted to see. But a victory for Hulkenberg. The one-stop strategy had worked. It had gone well. But Hulkenberg out of the race. Absolutely devastating. So Buemi is the race leader. De Grassi in 2nd place. Gene is 3rd. Kobayashi, there he is in 4th place, trying to close up on the Minardi. And Della Rosa running in 5th place in the background. You can see him. Fair play to Della Rosa. Yet again, he's driven beautifully. We're on board with Marc Genet in the Minardi. 20 seconds back from this man, Sebastian Buemi, who leads the race. And he's closing up on Heidfeld to lap him. Look at how hard Della Rosa is pushing through that second corner. Through the first corner, sorry. He wants to get a decent points finish on the board. He's come so close so many times. And they've got 20 laps to go. So it's now or never for Sebastian Buemi to start to extend that gap over Lucas de Grassi. Although, looking at it, de Grassi, I think, is the faster man of the two right now. Kobayashi's made the move on Genet. Kobayashi gets through into 3rd place past Marc Genet. So back onto the podium comes Arrows. And Kobayashi's got through on Genet. That's an important overtake as he's done it into turn 6. But Buemi is your leader. De Grassi 2nd. Kobayashi 3rd from Genet, De La Rosa. Then in 6th place is Senna, Bernaldi, Davidson, Lotterer and Tarquini. And into the pits comes one of the 40s. That's a scheduled pit stop, I'm fairly sure. Well, that is Taki Inui coming into the pits. And, well, what a devastating race it has turned out to be for so many of the big names in this one. For Verne, for Hulkenberg, the 2 men that were battling for victory, now out of the race. And it's Sebastian Buemi in the BAR that takes over the lead of the race. Now, this is exactly the kind of result that will secure his place in the team, because there were rumours that Buemi's seat was under threat after some big mistakes in the last few races. But certainly the team has given Sebastian Buemi until after Brno to sort himself out. And a victory would definitely do. Genet's out! Marc Genet is out! That was why it was so easy for Kobayashi to get through, and that's Marc Genet's first retirement of the season. The championship leader is out here at Estoril. It was going so well for Marc Genet. Luck has definitely been on his side so far this year. But now it's all over, and Marc Genet retires for the first time this season. Well, it took him 5 races to get to that point, and I'm sure there's a fair few competitors up and down this pit wall that will be breathing a rather cruel sigh of relief. But even so, Marc Genet, who was looking good for 3rd at one stage, is now out of it, and that promotes Della Rosa up into 4th place in the Prost, and Senna up into 5th from Bernaldi, Davidson, Lotterer, Tarquini, and Nick Heidfeld. So it looks like he will get a point after all in front of Inui and Delatraz. 13 cars remaining. So half the field has gone. Half of it is still circling around. How many more will retire here at Estoril? And of course, only the top 10 cars score points. But if more than 10 drivers, if less than 10 drivers finish, but the 10th or 9th place cars at the time are not classified as finishers, they do not score points. So that is pretty critical. So Buemi is your leader, 14 seconds ahead of de Grassi. Kobayashi in 3rd, De La Rosa is 4th, Senna is in 5th position, and that is 5 different cars in the top 5 places. Well, it's looking very nearly as if we've got cars on circuit with 1 in and 1 out. I think there's only a couple of teams that have still got both cars running, namely Midland. Apologies there, slight issue. Buemi leading, de Grassi in 2nd place, Kobayashi, De La Rosa and Senna in the top 5 places. Then it is Bernaldi in front of Davidson, Lotterer, Tarquini and Heidfeld. That's the top 10 at the moment. So Bernaldi leads, Davidson, Lotterer, Tarquini, Heidfeld. 11th is Bertie, 12th is Inui, 13th is Delatraz. And the retirements are Marc Genet, championship leader, Nico Hulkenberg, long-time race leader, Sebastian Bourdais, former podium runner, Susie Wolff, who was looking for points, Hartley, looking good for a podium as well, De Resta on course for the top 3, Alguersuari on course for points, Ericsson could have scored good points today, Verne, 22nd, and out while leading. Glock out, Rossi out, Courtney out, Van Dorn out. A very tough race here at Estoril. It was always going to be a difficult one. But a lot of difficulties for a lot of the teams. Buemi, though, is your leader. De Grassi in second place. Then Kobayashi, De La Rosa and Senna. So it's a good old race at the moment, but Buemi is your race leader. De Grassi, 14 seconds back. Not pushing too hard, but then if he can just coax Buemi into making a few of those errors of his, then there's a chance De Grassi could snatch this victory away. And De Grassi running very well in the manner in second place. But BAR are leading the team standings, and their man Buemi has not yet won a race this year. So it could well be a 5th different race winner from 5 different races. But this is De Grassi hoping to make it 5 different teams from 5 races if he can just keep it together. We're coming up to the end of lap 55 now. And Buemi across the line into lap 56. De Grassi is only 14 seconds back. Kobayashi is 3 seconds behind him in third. Then De La Rosa and Senna. 2 men who could do with a decent points haul. De La Rosa in particular. A 4th place finish would be a fairy tale for Prost right now. Buemi going reasonably well in the lead though. He doesn't need to push at this stage. He just needs to look after the car. 13 cars still running. And it's Buemi that leads the way. It's not the first time in the race he's led, but it's certainly not the first time this season he's led a race either. And he needs to get a win on the board, really. As far as BAR and he are concerned, he should have won a race by now and has not yet been able to do so. There's De Grassi with Kobayashi in the background. So De Grassi going well in second. Taki Inui, what are you doing? Runs a bit deep into turn 3, but manages to keep it together. He's in 12th by virtue of the fact that the car just keeps going. But if 2 more cars drop out, the 40 could score another point. Genuinely possible, the way things are currently standing. So into the hairpin at turn 6 goes Taki Inui. There's Kobayashi, still trying to push after De Grassi and gain enough places and enough traction to close in, and he is doing so. The gap has come down from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, so Kobayashi is catching De Grassi. The arrows isn't done yet in this race by a long shot, and he is going after De Grassi. So Lucas De Grassi in second place, Kamui Kobayashi in third, and the gap has come down to 1.8 seconds now, as Heidfeld, now in the points for Super Aguri, has just lapped the 40. I think that's Delatraz, as De La Rosa runs in P4. Never more than this race have Prost been praying that their car just gets to the finish, because they have had a good competitive package. They have had strong performances so far this year, but it's never converted into a race finish in the points. And they are the only team so far this season not to have scored points. Cruel when you consider just how good that car really is. Oh, and Delatraz causing a headache for Buemi. Well, finally Buemi goes round the outside, but I don't think Buemi's going to take too kindly to Jean-Denis Delatraz, holding him up the way he has. But Kamui Kobayashi is running full guns after Lucas De Grassi, and the gap has come down to 1.5 seconds now. So Kobayashi is the man on the move. He's trying to close up on De Grassi. Still they push onto the far side of the course. Now through the square left and into that final hairpin. Kamui Kobayashi is still working hard to try and close up on Lucas De Grassi. Can he get there? Can he get close enough in time? He's certainly got the time to catch him and pass him. But is he going to be able to? That's the question. Delatraz running very deep into turn 2. The 40s are still making a race of this. For Inui and Delatraz, it's just keep the car going and hope that enough cars drop out for points, essentially. That seems to be their strategy. But as a result of Kobayashi pushing De Grassi is now closing in on Buemi. The gap has come down to 13 seconds. I mean, a lot of that is also probably down to the fact that Buemi was just held up by Delatraz. But a fascinating dynamic now as Kobayashi and De Grassi are pushing each other, and they are closing in on Buemi as they do so. I'm not sure that Buemi is going to be caught with enough time to battle for the victory, but certainly it could put Buemi into a false sense of security, because they are definitely starting to eke down that gap. The gap is 1.2 seconds now between De Grassi and Kobayashi, and this is the fight for second place. The man is still going well. There's Andre Lotterer coming off the turn. Whoopsie daisy, Andre. I'm very impressed, actually. He's just got back into the race. Any other driver might have said, you know what, it's not worth it. but it is worth it because he's in 8th place, and that's 4 points. So that could, if Kobayashi drops out now, he'll get up to 7th, and that will be 6 points, and that will actually put him into 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. So he's got to keep it going. So Kamui Kobayashi in 3rd position. But for how much longer? Because he is catching Degrassi. The gap is down to 0.6 of a second now. Kobayashi's pushing it. He wants to get on terms with Lucas Degrassi in the manor. There's only 1 Arrows left. There's only 1 Manor left. There's only 1 BAR left. There's only 1 Prost left. And there's only 1 Onyx left in the top 5. But all of those cars want to make it home. And there is Buemi, the BAR, still running in the lead. 13 seconds ahead of these two. Degrassi and Kobayashi fighting for 2nd. Behind the top 5, Bernaldi in the Midland is in a brilliant 6th position. Then it's Davidson in the Minardi. 8th is Lotterer in the AGS. 9th is Tarquini, looking for his first points of the season in 9th. And then it's Heidfeld in 10th position. Bernaldi hasn't scored points yet this season either, nor has De La Rosa. So 3 drivers likely to add themselves to the points tally. Bruno Senna is the latest driver to be impeded by the 40. And Bruno Senna, very irritated, I'm sure, behind that 40 car. Bertie is 11th, Inui is 12th, Delatraz is 13th, and that's all she wrote. Jenny out, Alguersuari out, Hulkenberg out, Bourdais, Wolf, Hartley, De Resta, Ericsson, Verne, Glock, Rossi, Courtney and Van Dorn. So Kamui Kobayashi running well in 3rd, but he's closing in on Degrassi. He's got him in the slipstream, and surely now this is where 2nd place is going to be turned around. Degrassi hanging on to 2nd place down the main straight. Kobayashi trying to get through. They are side by side. Can Degrassi shut the door? Yes, he does. Degrassi slams the door firmly shut on Kobayashi. And this is the battle that's going to continue to the end of the race. 12 to go. We're on lap 60 out of 71, so 12 laps remaining, including this one. And this is going to be it for 2nd place. Degrassi versus Kobayashi now. And they've got the 40 in front of them of Taki Inui. This is going to be interesting as Degrassi pops out behind it and gets through without too much of an issue. Now, how's Kobayashi going to fare? Where is Kobayashi? There he is, but he took a little bit longer to get through. So Kobayashi, he's running wide, trying to stop the 40 coming back through. Well, that didn't go so well. Kobayashi almost got repassed there by Inui, his countryman in the 40. I think they might be having a word or two later. But certainly, that was an interesting one, as Bruno Senna in 5th position is not safe in 5th because he's got Bernaldi breathing down his neck. Bernaldi's trying to get into the top 5 here. So Bernaldi is still pushing on, trying to make his presence felt in this one. And he might be able to get into 5th position now. The 2 Brazilians fighting away, Bruno Senna and Enrique Bernaldi for 5th position. Senna in the Onyx, Bernaldi in the Midland. And then in 7th is Davidson in the Minardi. 8th is Andre Lotterer's AGS. 9th is Gabriele Tarquini in the BMS Italia. And in 10th place, with no obvious explanation as to why he's so far off the pace, Nick Heidfeld in the Super Aguri, having all sorts of adventures, but down in 10th position. Then it's Bertie, Inui and Delatraz. So fascinating race. But it's all going full guns blazing for these two. Lucas Degrassi in 2nd place. Kamui Kobayashi in 3rd. The latter trying to turn things around in his favour. And that's Bernaldi slowing. Bernaldi is slowing in the Midland. Suspension failure for him too. Now, if he can get this car back to the pits, he might be able to salvage something. No, I don't think he's going to be able to. Oh, too late. Bernaldi, a massive raft of points for Midland gone. And that is devastating for Enrique Bernaldi. The Brazilian was right on the tail of Bruno Senna. And that is a 6th place finish, a valiant 6th place finish, wasted and disappeared for Enrique Bernaldi. You've got to feel for him, Ben Johnston and the whole Midland Toyota team. That was a brilliant race up to that point. But it's game over for Enrique Bernaldi. 6th place is gone. Into lap 62 of 71 for Sebastian Buemi. 10 laps to go. And the BAR is running solid and smooth up front. This time it's not Jean-Eric Verne. But as far as the teams on the pit wall are concerned, it's another BAR leading another race. They've had some good qualifying performances. They've only had 1 win from the first 4 races. But Buemi getting a victory means they could well get a 2nd. But Kobayashi's not done yet. He's pushing after Degrassi to try and take 2nd place away. So the entire squad at Arrows working their heart out, willing Kamui Kobayashi onto the back of Degrassi. He's tried once before, hasn't worked, but he's getting closer all the time. And yet again, Degrassi versus Kobayashi is going to come to blows here in the fight for second place. Kobayashi has caught back up to Degrassi. And Della Rosa is fourth in front of Bruno Senna. Sixth place now is Anthony Davidson in the Minardi. Kobayashi going to have a look at Degrassi. Yes, he does. Is he going to get through? Yes, Kobayashi is through and gets the place. So Kamui Kobayashi up into second place now. So Kamui Kobayashi gets himself up another position, and that's crucial. So Kobayashi into second place. Degrassi is third from Della Rosa in fourth. Then it is Bruno Senna in fifth position from Davidson, Lotterer, Tarquini, Heidfeld. And in 10th position now is the other Midland. Luciano Berti is in 10th place. But in 11th and 12th are the 240s. So they just need one more car to drop out of the race. Buemi's in the pits! What's Buemi in the pits for? Buemi had a problem, I think. Oh, he broke his front wing! Buemi broke his front wing! Now, I didn't see where he did it, but Buemi has broken his front wing, and he's now into the pits from down to third position. Absolutely incredible. Well, that has completely transformed this race. Buemi is not going to be the winner. Buemi is not going to take victory. It's going to be Kamui Kobayashi. Or is it? Because Degrassi's coming back at him. Degrassi suddenly realises now he's not fighting for second anymore. He's fighting for the victory. And so now Degrassi wants the lead again. Well, big drama as Buemi rejoins the race, having broken his front wing. And Lotterer locks up, trying to close up on Davidson. This is absolutely astonishing. Well, this is big stuff. Kobayashi now leads from Lucas Degrassi, and there's 0.4 of a second between them. Degrassi is trying to get the victory. Buemi third, Della Rosa fourth, and Senna fifth. Buemi, with another mistake, has dropped down to third after pushing too hard and breaking the front wing. That is the second race in 5 races. Well, 3 technically, actually. 3 out of 5 races that Buemi has been in the lead and thrown it away in some way, shape or form. That is absolutely devastating. Now, Buemi technically had a mechanical failure last time out at Taupo, but from what Tom Butterworth was saying is that essentially that was because he was pushing too hard. The car could have gone the distance. But look at Kobayashi. He's now starting to pull away from Degrassi. And this is absolutely unbelievable. So it looks as though Degrassi will get second anyway, but he could have got the win. And Kobayashi is pulling away out front. So Sebastian Buemi, tail between his legs, having thrown away the race lead with a broken front wing. That is absolutely astonishing. So the BAR out of the lead of the race, down to third. And, well, Sebastian Buemi is going to be a very sheepish Swiss as he comes into the pits later to try and explain to Tom Butterworth why he threw away a victory. And of all people to have thrown it away to Kamui Kobayashi, Tom Butterworth's team throws away victory and hands it to wife Emma Butterworth's team. Tarquini in 8th place in the BMS Italia. 4 more points on the board for them then, and Tarquini's first points of the season if things keep going as they are. Oh, careful, Gabrielli. That's not going to help. A big lock-up into the left-hander at turn 13. So that could have gone very nasty indeed, but fortunately keeps it together. There's Lucas Degrassi climbing up the hill at the end of the second split. And still there, in behind Kamui Kobayashi to the tune of a second. The manor is not giving up yet, though. You never know what's going to happen. So Kamui Kobayashi now leads and looking for his second win of the season. This is going to give Kamui Kobayashi the lead of the driver's standings, I'm sure. Having won already this year. And Buemi now laps the 40. Well, he's trying to save face here, Sebastian Buemi, but you can't deny the fact that he was leading. He had control of the race. He was 14 seconds clear. But whatever happened, his front wing got broken and he had to come into the pits to repair it. He'll put a fresh set of tyres on, but it's no good. He's going to be 20 seconds back. Luciano Berti nearly throwing it into the gravel. Careful, Luciano. You don't want to throw away another point for Midland, especially when they had 8 points staring them in the face, courtesy of Enrico Benaldi earlier on. Just a point will do after all of that. As Luciano Berti looks to get that 10th place finish sewn up. But Kamui Kobayashi leads the race in front of Lucas Degrassi. Here he is. We're on board with him as we look through the suspension system. This is a great camera view. As we look at the car travelling over the curbs, we're about We're about 8 centimetres off the ground here. This is an absolutely brilliant camera angle. As the car travels up the hill through the right-hander, back on the pace again, and into the left-hander before the final turn. There's Kamui Kobayashi getting further and further away up the road, as Sebastian Buemi continues to run in third position there in the BAR, having led for the entirety of the final end of the race, and looking like the victory was his. But yet again, a driving error has dropped him to third after breaking his front wing. And the thing is, he didn't have anybody around him either. He had lapped the 40. He had made the final laps of the race pretty much come to him. He wasn't lapping anybody, as we look at De La Rosa lapping Delatraz. But Sebastian Buemi, look, he sets the fastest lap of the race, trying to get back into contention. Oh, and Heidfeld's gone into the side of Tarquini! And Tarquini has gone into the gravel trap. So there is Gabriele Tarquini. The BMS Italia now trying to get back onto the circuit. But that is definitely going to have to be investigated. Looked to me as though Heidfeld missed his braking point. Now that is a very dramatic incident. But Heidfeld appears to have forced Tarquini off the road. And that is not good news. So there's definitely going to have to be an investigation into that. There is Heidfeld, now in 8th place, but has forced Tarquini off the road. Now, it's going to be advantage by contact. That is how it's going to be deemed. He could pick up a post-race penalty. Now, we haven't had a post-race penalty yet in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, but that's definitely going to need to be investigated. Did Heidfeld effectively ram Tarquini off the road by careless driving, missed his braking point, hurtled into the side of him, and poor Tarquini had nowhere to go but into the gravel. Now, he got going again. He hasn't lost more than a place, but even so, that's going to need to be investigated after the race. And if I was Topher Smith, I'd be coming up with every single excuse in the book. So Kamui Kobayashi leads the way. Second place is Lucas Di Grassi for the Manor team. And in third is Sebastian Buemi in the BAR, with De La Rosa fourth for Prost, Senna fifth for Onyx, and in 6th place now it is Anthony Davidson in the Minardi. Then Lotterer, Heidfeld, Tarquini, Berti, and in 11th is Inouye. We're looking at him now, Taki Inouye, in front of Jean-Denis Delatraz, with the retirements: Benoldi, Jene, Hulkenberg, Bourdais, Wolf, Hartley, De Resta, Alguersuari, Ericsson, Verne, Glock, Rossi, Courtney and Van Dorn. But there have been some big dramas in this race, and it sets us up beautifully for Brno. Lots of tight, twisty sections on that course, but a lot of long straights. So we should see some good battles and some good overtakes. It's all uphill, down Dale as well. So it'll be a bit of a car breaker. Not that Estoril hasn't been. Estoril has definitely taken its toll on the drivers here. So Kobayashi leads the way. Di Grassi in second, 2.8 seconds back. Buemi third and De La Rosa in fourth. Senna is fifth. And we are on lap 67, 5 to go, as Nick Heidfeld desperately tries to escape the view of the cameras after his little moment with Gabriele Tarquini. I wonder what the excuse is going to be. That'll be interesting later. But definitely a tough race in the offing for Heidfeld, and he has pretty much been lacklustre since the start. He's quite lucky to get points, actually. But Kamui Kobayashi running well, 3 seconds clear of Lucas Di Grassi, and you've got to give Di Grassi a lot of credit here, because he made the hard work happen during the pit stop phase and got himself into a good position, but Kobayashi was able to get a slightly fresher car underneath him by going that little bit longer. He basically took 1 step back to go 2 steps forward, Kamui Kobayashi, but Di Grassi ran well. Whoops, Heidfeld now colouring himself in glory, getting it very wrong and going slightly wide. This has just been his whole weekend, really. Heidfeld, if you consider that last time out at Taupo he was battling for the victory, here he's just not looked on pace at any point in the weekend. And it's been quite a dramatic turn of events. Timo Glock has picked it up and run with it, and Heidfeld has looked off colour. We're on board with Davidson in the Minardi. A top 6 finish for him. That will be his best finish of the season if he can hang on to it. And that's a good result for him too. Another one of these drivers who just solidly gets on with the job. He was on a one-stop strategy. He didn't really break a sweat at any point in the race. He just got on with his job, and he's going to bring the car home, hopefully, in the top 6 with a P6 finish, and that is going to be his best result in a Grand Prix car. Lucas Di Grassi, second place, trying not to lose too much time to Kobayashi, just in case something happens, and Buemi runs wide again! See, that, I think, is how he did the damage the last time. That's how he would have done it at the final turn. he will have broken the front wing and then suddenly realised he'd broken the front wing, dived for the pit lane to get it fixed. But that is how Buemi will have done the damage the last time. He's got to be so careful not to do it again. But over-driving yet again from Sebastian Buemi. He's got the gap down, fair play to him, to 15.5 seconds with the fastest car out there. But it doesn't change the fact that he had the victory staring him in the face. And it's all gone horribly, horribly wrong. So we're riding on board with Tarquini, luckiest man in Estoril to have been able to keep going. So this is going to be a really exciting battle. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic run. Oh, well, there are rumours going in the chat box that Tom Butterworth is not at all happy with Sebastian Buemi binning it from the lead of the race. This is a very tough... I'm reading through some of these comments. I really can't believe some of the conversations that are going on in this. I wish I could repeat it, but it's probably not very good for any of these guys. But it's definitely looking to be a very fun race. I'm going to have to go back and read some of these comments properly after the race. But absolutely hilarious stuff. This is absolutely fascinating. Kamui Kobayashi leads the way. 3 seconds from Degrassi. And he's on lap 70 of 71. 2 to go. Buemi is catching Kobayashi and Degrassi, but he's not going to get there in time. He's going to remain in third. But for Prost, there is a real prayer going at the moment. De La Rosa is in P4. Senna's in P5. And if those two can keep going, certainly for Prost, it's going to be a good points haul. For Onyx, it'll be a good points haul. And for this guy too, Anthony Davidson in P6. But he's under pressure now from Andre Lotterer. Lotterer could snatch the top 6 from him in the last 2 laps. Here is Lotterer. He's caught right up to Davidson. And he's got 2 laps now to get on terms with Davidson. So we have got one final battle to come from this race now. Here's Lotterer right in there behind Davidson. Can he go for the place? He's caught him right up. Here's Buemi, still charging after the leaders. He's got the gap down to 13 seconds. So, you know, fair play to him. He's gained about 10 seconds already. But that's not going to be enough. He's driving angry, and that's why he's gaining so much ground. But this is an absolutely fantastic race, and it's not going to finish until we get down to the very last corner of the very last lap, by the look of things. Certainly for 6th position, Davidson and Lotterer are going to give us a bit of a showdown right to the last. But Kobayashi and Degrassi are now into the final lap as Luciano Berti is about to do something quite spectacular. He's in 10th. The man in front of him is 11th. And Berti looks like he's about to put a lap. Oh, no, sorry, that's Delatraz. I thought he was going to put a lap on Inui, and that would be pretty spectacular in its own merit, but he's not. He's going to put a lap on Delatraz. But Kobayashi is about to become a second-time winner. Or is he? Careful, Kamui. Not on the last lap, mate. Dear, oh, dear. Kamui Kobayashi, a very timely error on the last lap. He just about gets away with that. But that could have been very costly indeed for Kamui Kobayashi. He is going to get it home, though, surely, with a victory in his pocket, having had an absolutely brilliant race. It looked at one time as though he hadn't quite done enough, but then when everything around him started to come apart, he managed to put himself in the right place at the right time. And so out of the final turn, Kamui Kobayashi is going to get the job done for the second time in 5 races. He won the season opener at Kyalami. Now he's going to win at Estoril for the second time this year. Kamui Kobayashi wins in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series at Estoril. Second place for Lucas Degrassi. A great result for him in second place. A brilliant run. Sebastian Buemi fights to third, but there's going to be some words afterwards about how he threw that one away. Tarquini Grags a 9th place finish lapped. But look, this is a fairy tale. Here comes Pedro de la Rosa. At last, there was disaster in Kyalami, agony in Marrakesh, absolute cruelty in Bathurst and in Taupo. But now, at last, De La Rosa finishes in a brilliant 4th place. Points on the board for Prost. You can't take that away from them now. At last, the 5th race, and points on the board for Prost. Senna is 5th for Onyx. Good result there. Luciano Berti is going to grab the final point in the end for Midland. In 10th position and a lap down. But look behind. That's Lotterer. Lotterer in 6th place. He got Davidson on the last lap. In 6th position comes Lotterer. And the 40s are 12th and 11th. at the back. Heidfeld's got an investigation coming up after the race in 8th position. But Kamui Kobayashi wins for the 2nd time this season out of 5 races. And that's a big one in terms of the driver's standings. Kamui Kobayashi makes it a 2nd win for Arrows and a 2nd win for him. Absolutely fantastic. Let's take a look at the final confirmation. Only 12 finishers. Kamui Kobayashi wins from Degrassi 3 seconds back. Sebastian Buemi in 3rd. Under a cloud, though, after throwing away the lead. Della Rosa, at last, the Prost teamer in 4th place. Bruno Senna in 5th from Andre Lotterer. Anthony Davidson 7th in front of Nick Heidfeld. Then Gabriele Tarquini and Luciano Berti in the points. And the only other finishers are Taki Inui and Jean-Denis Delatraz in the 240s. Nobody else came across the finish line. An absolutely thrilling race, I think you'll agree, ladies and gentlemen, and an absolutely thrilling result. But I think we're all pretty happy for these guys at Prost. Finally, Pedro Della Rosa getting the points he deserves for finishing in 4th position. Let's go down to the pit lane. The chatter in the green room is already pretty frenetic. I'm going to find, first of all, Sam Hall to have a chat with. Sam, that was brilliant strategy, I have to say, from the Manor team. Unfortunate for Brendan Hartley, but for a lot of the race, it looked as though Lucas de Grassi could actually have picked up the win there.
Yeah, well, I know we said last time that we'd put some gaffer tape on the car of Brendan Hartley, but I mean, I
think it fell off.
We forgot to put it on this time. I mean, we ran out. It was parcel tape, and you know, it might be masking tape next time. He's just not going to finish. We know that. So Degrassi banks us the points, and this time got us a podium as well. So I think this is second place. Which, yeah, more of that, please.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Good performance. Let's have a chat with Tom Cairns. Tom, finally, I get to speak to you with a positive result. 4th position for Della Rosa, and it could very easily have been a podium as well. You must be so delighted.
Well, I've most certainly have bitten my hand off to get 4th, to be honest with you, Jay. It was massively, it's a massive result for us. I knew it would happen at some point. It was just a matter of when. And finally, Pedro put in a really, really strong drive from 10th position on the grid. It's a shame about Jaime, obviously. I think it was a transmission problem that forced him to retire halfway through, but it was languishing at the back anyway, so it probably wasn't going to get anything more than what he would have got. But in regards to Pedro, he put in a really, really sterling performance to really put the team back into a good shape, actually, and given the prize money that comes with it. It's huge for us. So I'm glad that not only we got our first points of the season, but coming off the foot of the table now in the Constructors' Championship, and Pedro getting his first finish and his first points on the board.
Fantastic. Great performance, Tom. We're all really delighted for Prost. Finally, points on the board. Hope there's more in Brno. Good fortune. Well done. Let's have a chat with Ryan Ferris. Ryan, this is a bit bittersweet, really, isn't it? Because Bourdais was right there in the hunt for the podium. 3rd position looked like it was his. But Bruno bringing it home in 5th position, I guess that kind of makes up for it in a way.
Well, yeah, I mean, Bourdais been quite lucky this season. That was his first mechanical retirement of the season, where Bruno's had a few so far. Yeah, it was disappointing that we didn't get the double points haul, because we really need that at this point of the championship. But no, it's great to see that Senna's got some good points in.
Well, fantastic stuff. Hopefully there is more in Brno. Ryan, good performance. Let's see if we can catch up with Alex Goldschmidt. Minardi obviously picking up some very useful points there with Anthony Davidson. But for Marc Genet, I mean, that could easily have been a podium, but his first retirement from the year. A difficult race in the end.
Yeah, I mean, we'd gone with the long first stop to see if we could run it on a one-stopper, and Mark was doing really, really good. But obviously the internals on the transmission seemed to have thrown a cog or two and put him out. But I think realistically, from our perspective, he's still 2nd in the championship. I think by my count, about 17 points behind Kamui, who we have to congratulate on a great job, being the first 2-time winner in Grand Prix World Series. But obviously from us, in terms of the championship, I mean, it puts us on a good footing. Now we're at the sharp end of it, and we can only go into the next round with our heads held high that we've done a good job so far. But yeah, Mark's really down in the doldrums, but he's going to pick himself up, as we always know, and he'll come back fighting like he did this time around.
Fantastic stuff. Well, Anthony Davidson picking up a 7th place, so points on the board there. Before I head over to Topher Smith, I'm going to put a call out to the pit lane for Emma Butterworth. I know she's there or thereabouts. The team are already celebrating at Arrows. Obviously, Kamui Kobayashi on the top step of the podium for Japan. But let's have a word with the owner of the Japanese team, Topher Smith of Super Aguri. Topher, well, what can we say? Timo Glock unable to get the points on the board, and then Nick Heidfeld, he just didn't seem to have any of his form from Australia or even New Zealand this weekend, and now he's got an investigation on him.
Well, to start off with Timo, he drove a brilliant race today and was very unlucky to have his engine problem. He was driving flawlessly up until that point. He was in contention for a podium. I think he could have finished in the top 3 had he reached the end. So it was a shame for him. There was absolutely no fault on his part. He drove a brilliant race, and it's just a shame to see him retire like that. As for Nick, the only explanation that I have is that we tried something different with the setup on his car. We thought we'd try a bit of a different route. We had good pace in Taupo. I thought maybe we can carry that on, try something a bit different. But unfortunately, it just didn't work on this occasion, and he suffered for it because of the race, during the race.
Okay, well, we're not going into that incident then. We'll have a quick shifty about that one later, I guess. I'm not sure we're going to have the opportunity to hear from Emma Butterworth in time, or are we? I'll try and hang on a little bit longer so that Emma can get in, obviously, because I know that the Arrows team will want to have their say about it. But certainly for Kamui Kobayashi, it is her second race victory. Emma Butterworth as team boss to Kamui Kobayashi and the Arrows team, so they've got a lot to look forward to. I'm not sure we're going to get there in time, so what we'll do is we will continue on, and it'll be a fascinating battle for the next race. Oh, hang on a second. I think we have got Emma Butterworth in time. I think she has managed to pull herself away from the fray in the nick of time. Emma Butterworth, victory for the second time this year after Kyle Army. It's been a tough few races, but Arrows picking up a second win with Kamui. You must be delighted.
Absolutely delighted, Jake. That's been a really impressive win from Kobayashi. A little bit of bad luck there with Hulkenberg. He's had a couple of races where he's not been at his best. However, Kobayashi has been the absolute star of the show, so really pleased with the performance today.
Yeah, the difficulty with Hulkenberg is that today he put in a solid effort, and the one-stop strategy, it actually worked. He was actually going to be leading the race in front of Buemi and Kobayashi. He must be bitterly disappointed with the way it's worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it was a risk, put him in a one-stop strategy, but we had full belief that he was able to do it. Just a little bit of bad luck with the suspension failure with the car, but hopefully when we go on to the next race, his performance will be even better.
So heading to Brno, it's a tough technical circuit, lots of long straights and fast corners. Is this where the Hulk is going to come back to bounce of it?
Hopefully, yes, definitely.
Fantastic stuff. Congratulations, Emma. Your second win of the year. Well done. So that is it, done and dusted, and we are now about to wrap up shop and put in another fantastic trip as we get ready for the next race of the season. And of course, the next race is going to take us to another fantastic circuit, and that of course is Brno in the Czech Republic. First time it's gone Grand Prix racing. That's Wednesday afternoon it will be happening, and we're really excited about how things are going to play out. Do join us there. If you want to get involved, then you can find us online, Downforce Racing on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Send us a message. We are building the grid for the Group C Challenge, which is going to be our first open season Managers League. We will be putting up some bits and pieces on it on our website and making a YouTube video to get everybody up and ready for it. But it's going to be a fantastic battle for supremacy in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series when it continues at Brno in the Czech Republic. I'm Jake Sanson. See you on Wednesday.